Chapter 3478. Master of the Fiend God Order. I'm afraid this final battle isn't fair, right? The Heavenly King frowned and looked at the Master of the Fiend God Order. Although he knew that it would be troublesome to question that person, he had to raise it. According to the rules, the final battle would be a 3-person free-for-all. But Cold Plum and Ling Xiao belong to the same force, so they would definitely join forces. In that case, how could King Zhong still have a chance of winning? That's right, this is unfair. Dragon Mother also said, I hope that the Master of the Fiend God Order can change the rules to prevent some people from taking advantage of the loophole. The person you want to choose is the person who is most likely to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance. If the person chosen is a trash, then it's meaningless. The Vengeful Alliance's leader also agreed. The 3 of them were now united against a common enemy and had reached an agreement. Presumptuous! How can the rules set by the Master be changed so easily? In the end, it's your people's incompetence that led to this situation. Who can you blame? The Blood Axe Snake Clan's patriarch, Shifeng, stood up and shouted sternly. Ling Xiao, what do you think? The Master of the Fiend God Order looked at Ling Xiao and said, I naturally hope for a free-for-all. In fact, Ling Xiao planned to deal with King Zhong alone, but he wouldn't say it out loud. If someone insisted on fighting him one-on-one, he had to get some benefits. Hee, what if I insist on changing the rules? The Master of the Fiend God Order laughed. You're the Master of the Fiend God Order, so you can naturally change the rules at will. But if this matter spreads out, I'm afraid it won't be good for your reputation. In fact, things like rules don't have to be changed. If you can give me some benefits, I can solve your problem. Ling Xiao directly expressed his intention. Did the 3 of you hear that? The Master of the Fiend God Order was naturally stingy. Anyway, it had nothing to do with him. Even if he had to pay, it had to be the Heavenly King Dynasty, Myriad Countries, and the Vengeful Alliance. Tell me what to do first. Dragon Mother said, Very simple. Each of you give me a good thing, and I'll give up on joining forces to deal with King Zhong. I'll fight him alone, how about it? Ling Xiao said, Are you serious? Of course. Ling Xiao nodded. But what if you demand an exorbitant price? We can't have everything, and we can't give you everything. The Heavenly King said, Don't worry, you will definitely have it. Ling Xiao said, Demon Venerable Sword, Heavenly King Sword, 8 Immortal Sword, or Myriad Countries Sword, Meteoric Iron, Black Star Stone, Sea Soul Jade, or the crystal cores of the weakest 9th Division, life-seizing Decepticons, Demonlings, 8 Immortals Fruit, or the crystal cores of the 12 beasts in the Reincarnation Divine Realm. The things he mentioned were all necessary to cultivate the 9 supreme sword arts. Otherwise, it was a necessary item to upgrade a beast's soul. He believed that with the abilities of the 3 major forces, they wouldn't lack these things. Even if he didn't have all of them, he still had 1 or 2 of them. I have a piece of Sea Soul Jade here. Mother Dragon thought for a moment and said, I have a 3rd level Reincarnation Divine Realm Eagle type demonic beast core in my hands. The Heavenly King said, I have Meteoric Iron. The leader of the Avenging Alliance said, All right, those 3 things should be enough. With the Meteoric Iron, Ling Xiao would be able to use it with the 7 Stars Sword to cultivate the 7 Stars Heavenfall Sword. Once he finished cultivating all 6 sword incantations, each of them would rise from the early king class to the mid-king class. At the same time, their combined power would increase. That would cause a qualitative change in his strength. As for the Sea Soul Jade, he could keep it for now and use it with the Myriad Countries Sword to cultivate the Myriad Countries, see Heavenly Sword. As for the Eagle-type Demonic Beast Core, he could use it to upgrade his Undying Bird Beast Soul. In any case, he definitely wouldn't lose out in this deal. Now that I've given you the items, you can fight one-on-one with King Zhong. If you lose, King Zhong will take 1st place. If you win, King Zhong will take 3rd place. Is that a problem? The owner of the God-Devil medallion looked at Ling Xiao. Of course. Ling Xiao nodded. Very well. In that case, the two of you may step onto the stage. The owner of the God-Devil medallion didn't want to waste words. This was the final battle of the Fiend God Invitational Tournament, a showdown between the number one genius of the Western regions and the number one expert of the Celestial Dynasty. King Zhong's current strength had already surpassed that of a Celestial King. Moreover, he had the Neptune's Fury and the Jewel Rings. His strength was actually close to the three strongest experts of the Western regions. Soul Hall was still worried that Ling Xiao would have to face such a person. Cold Plum didn't even step onto the stage. She just stood there quietly and watched. Ling Xiao stepped onto the stage, looking down at the crowd. Everyone assumed that he would be rivals with Imperial Prince Tian, the Dragon Shark King, Feng Fei, and Tian High Tyranny. But now they realized with shock that his peers were far from being Ling Xiao's match. Ling Xiao's opponent was an even more powerful senior expert. He was challenging an almost impossible task. He was creating a record that would shock the world. King Zhong stepped onto the stage as well, looking at Ling Xiao with a complicated expression. The youth in front of him had come from the celestial dragon continent. His starting point could be said to be the lowest of all. That place lacked spiritual qi, so it was impossible for any powerful figures to emerge from it. But this youth had broken the rules and walked step by step to suppress all the geniuses of the Western regions. Such a thing could only be done by Yu Xianyue and Ji Furing in the past. Could it be that this young man was related to those two? Of course. He didn't know that Yu Xianyue and Ji Furing were Ling Xiao's birth parents. If he did, he would be even more shocked. Ling Xiao, I really admire you. You wanted to kill Imperial Prince Tian, and you did it. You wanted to defeat the Dragon Shark King, and you did it. Now, there's no youth under the age of 20 who's your match in the entire Western regions. If you can even defeat me, I believe that you'll be ranked in the top 3 of all cultivators under the age of 40. Besides Dark Frost and the Linglong Saintess, I can't think of anyone else who can be your match. But today I must defeat you, for the Heavenly Emperor Empire and for my dead nephew. King Zhong took a deep breath. No matter how great the enmity was, it had to be settled in this arena today. Is that all you want to say? Ling Xiao looked at King Zhong and said, Actually, I've never thought of you as my obstacle. Even Mother Long and the leader of the Alliance of Vengeance aren't worthy. In my eyes, there's only one enemy, and that's the master of the Fiend God Order. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed, including the master of the Fiend God Order. Ling Xiao actually dared to speak like this in front of him. Master of the Fiend God Order, you don't have to be angry at all. We all know your plan, but those who dare to resist. There were only a handful of people who could resist. Even the current me shouldn't be worth mentioning in front of you, right? But I definitely won't give you the inheritance of the ancient Sword Emperor so easily. Ling Xiao turned to look at the master of the Fiend God Order. He knew that he was still useful to the master of the Fiend God Order, so the other party definitely wouldn't kill him. Therefore, it didn't matter if he was a little arrogant. Chapter 3479. Ha 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 ha, good boy, you have backbone. But as you said, you are just chess pieces in my hands. No matter how much you jump around, it's useless. If you obediently do things for me, you might be lucky enough to keep your lives. If you act recklessly, I can guarantee that all of you will die in this immemorial divine tomb forever. No one will see you again. The God Devil Order Master said very domineeringly, It's good to be strong, to dare to say such domineering words. Ling Xiao smiled, then turned around to look at King Zhong and said, Let's start and end the battle between us as soon as possible. Ling Xiao, you are too arrogant. Do you think that in this world you're the only one who is cultivating, the only one who is increasing his strength? I also did not waste time. Not only do I have the Heavenly Sword Emperor's inheritance, I also have the Neptune's Fury and the exquisite twin rings. You only have the Ice Age. How can you fight me?" King Zhong was very unhappy. Being looked down upon by Ling Xiao made his self-esteem suffer a serious challenge. He took out the Neptune's Fury. With a light wave, it was as if there was a terrifying sea power roaring crazily. King Zhong did not plan to hold back at all. Because he knew how powerful Ling Xiao was, he released the exquisite battle armor and the Neptune's Fury from the beginning. He also summoned his martial soul. King Zhong's martial soul was a spear. Spear soulless was a weapon martial soul. It could be said that long weapons were all universal. This was the reason why he chose to use the Neptune's Fury as a battle weapon. Only the Neptune's Fury could let spear soulless power completely vent. Whether it was the Neptune's Fury or the Ice Age, they were all much higher grade than the Ice Sovereign sword. Although Ling Xiao was still unable to confirm what grade of weapon they were. It should be very likely that they were immortal grade Emperor weapons, or even divine grade Emperor weapons. King Zhong was also the #1 genius of the Western region 20 years ago. In a short 2 hours, he already understood the Neptune's Fury and the exquisite twin rings very thoroughly. Although these two weapons are very difficult to understand, Ling Xiao's Ice Age can only be used as a weapon to carry out ordinary attacks. Mother Dragon sighed. The #1 genius of 20 years ago and the #1 genius of 20 years later. Who will win? Naturally, it's Prince Zhong. Ling Xiao was too arrogant. He could have obtained the soul-devouring magic staff, the 7-star saber, the heaven sword, and the raging flame, divine spear. But he didn't seem to have that thought at all. If you are arrogant, you will suffer. The heavenly king snorted coldly. Actually, he didn't understand why Ling Xiao didn't do that. I also feel that Prince Zhong has a higher chance of winning. After all, he has lived for 20 more years. To a martial artist, 20 years is a long time. Too important. The leader of the Revenge Alliance had the same judgment. Ling Xiao turned a deaf ear to such discussions. He did not intend to use the Ice Age. Just as Dragon Mother had said, the Ice Age was nothing more than a giant sword that he could wield at will. Even if he could use it to perform Revered Ice's Frozen Sky sword art, it would consume too much energy, and its power would not increase by much. He might as well use the Ice Supreme Sword. Today he was going to use the 9 Supremes' sword arts to determine the victor between him and King Zhong. As for the Ice Age, he only needed to transform into the Ice Age armor to protect him. You're still not willing to take out your Ice Age? Prince Zhong frowned. Are you disdainful to use it, or do you not know how to use it? If you don't know how to use it, it's better to give the weapon to someone else as soon as possible, so as not to waste it. I really don't know what a beast martial artist like you needs a weapon for. It's simply a waste of heaven's gifts. I am a beast martial artist, but I am also a sword martial artist. Is there a rule that says we can't cultivate at the same time? You guys don't have the energy, but I have a lot of energy. Ling Xiao laughed. Sword martial artist? You think you're worthy? Prince Zhong sneered. I'm afraid you don't even know what a sword martial artist is, right? I don't know. Ling Xiao laughed. It seemed that many people had said that he was not worthy of using a sword, but those people were all killed by his sword. That's right. When you reach the Golden Heavenly Realm, you will understand that possessing a weapon martial spirit is the foundation of a warrior. A true warrior not only has to possess a weapon martial spirit, but also has to cultivate the martial spirit into an innate martial spirit, reaching the point where it can be connected to the body and can even devour weapons. To raise the grade of the martial spirit, that was what a true warrior was like. A sword martial artist is just a branch of a warrior, but without an innate martial spirit, no one dares to say that they are a sword martial artist. Prince Zhong said disdainfully. Regarding this, Ling Xiao had heard of it before. Most of the martial spirits that martial artists possessed at the beginning were acquired martial spirits. Only by constantly cultivating and strengthening would one be able to advance to an innate martial spirit. Not only would an innate martial spirit become stronger, it would also be able to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. However, he had only heard of it and did not understand it at all. It seemed that the things he knew were still too little. Perhaps when he reached the golden heavenly realm, he would know more. But now he had to defeat the enemy in front of him first. Although I don't have an innate martial spirit, I was fortunate enough to know a martial artist from the 4 great regions. He taught me how to cultivate an innate martial spirit. Even though I have only touched the surface, dealing with you is as easy as flipping my hand. Prince Zhong said coldly, "Don't worry, it won't be too painful. 3 moves. At most 3 moves, I will be able to defeat you. As for whether you will die or not, it will depend on whether you have the fortune or not." Prince Zhong looked very humble on the surface, but in reality he was very arrogant in his heart. He was more arrogant than anyone in the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. This included the arrogant Prince Tian. It was just that he had always been pretending. Now that he had torn off his mask, he had completely let himself go, as if he did not put Ling Xiao in his heart at all. To you, Ice Age is just a weapon, but I am different. I can already communicate with my weapon. In just 2 hours, I have grasped the ultimate move of Neptune's fury, Neptune Arts. But don't worry, I don't need it to deal with you. It was very clear that Prince Zhong had seen the battle between Ling Xiao and the Dragon Shark King, but he still dared to say so, which meant that he had strength even more terrifying than the Dragon Shark King. He dared to look down on Ling Xiao because he was confident. "Isn't your nonsense a bit too much?" Ling Xiao hooked his hand and said, "Let me see if your ability is as good as your eloquence." Although he could feel that Neptune's fury was very obedient in Prince Zhong's hands, it was as if it should belong to him. It didn't seem like it was borrowed from Dragon Mother at all. This meant that Prince Zhong's comprehension of these weapons was indeed good. But even so what? When had he, Ling Xiao, ever been afraid? How could anyone possibly know his trump card? Once the Tyrant martial spirit came out, what trump card in this world was stronger than it? While speaking, Ling Xiao had already entered the limitless heavenly rat beast spirit transformation state. Against Prince Zhong, he did not dare to underestimate him. In a battle between experts, a little carelessness could cost one's life, so he was prepared to go all out. Of course, this full strength did not include the Tyrant martial spirit and the bloody devil rat. Chapter 3480. The Sky Tyrant martial soul and bloody devil rat's moves were only used when they had lost the opportunity and were about to die. Obviously, it wasn't that time yet. Suddenly, King Zhong swung Neptune's fury, and a powerful aura condensed into an unstoppable momentum. 6 flood dragons, condensed from water, appeared beside him. Each of these dragons was stronger than the Dragon Shark King's Water Dragon Roar. Mid-grade King class martial technique? Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye captured his opponent's moves and began to prepare for an attack. He didn't plan to passively defend, but to directly attack. He also had a mid-grade King class martial technique, so why should he be afraid? If that's all you have, I advise you to stop as soon as possible because you're not my opponent. To be honest, Ling Xiao was very disappointed. When he fought with the Dragon Shark King, he used the terrifying move of 4 swords in one. That was equivalent to a high-grade King class martial technique. King Zhong should know this, but now he was using a mid-grade King class martial technique to deal with him? Was this a joke? Not necessarily. Although my Heavenly King Spear Art is only a mid-grade King class martial technique. When combined with Neptune's fury, it can erupt with the power of a high-grade King class martial technique. If you underestimate it, you'll die quickly. King Zhong sneered. Then I want to try it even more. Ling Xiao's eyes released a sharp light, and 4 swords flew up at the same time. Ice Senior, Flame Senior, Soul Senior Ling Long. Each sword represented a completely different type of energy. It's here again. That should be the move that Ling Xiao used to defeat the Dragon Shark King. These two are going to go all out from the beginning without holding anything back. Everyone was a little excited after experiencing the boring battle of the top six. Finally, they welcomed such a wonderful battle, so they were naturally looking forward to it. Finally, the 6 flood dragons condensed. Then they let out a terrifying roar. With the domineering aura of a king, they rushed toward Ling Xiao. At that moment, King Zhong's soulless spear flickered to the extreme as if it was about to materialize. Heavenly King Spear Art's first move. 6 dragons playing with pearls. King Zhong roared. The 6 spear shadows seemed to have turned into 6 living flood dragons, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they rushed towards Ling Xiao. That powerful force caused the entire arena to shake violently. He didn't lie. Ling Xiao could feel that the power of his opponent's move was indeed in the embryonic form of an advanced king-level martial skill. Although it could not fully reach the power of a king-level martial skill, it still could not reach the power of a king-level martial skill. However, it was even more terrifying than the martial skills he had seen before. However, let me show you what a real king-level martial skill is. Ling Xiao sneered, for swords flew out simultaneously. For streams of sword qi condensed together in the void. It turned into a terrifying sword qi that could destroy the world. King Zhong's attack was powerful. Ling Xiao's attack was not weak either. Everyone stared at the two of them. Both of their attacks erupted at almost the same time, directly attacking each other. There was no probing or hesitation at all. From the very start, it was a battle to the death. This was very much in line with the taste of most people. Anyway, no matter who died, they didn't care. They only cared about the degree of excitement of this battle. Boom! A terrifying roar sounded in the arena. The entire arena began to crack, and pieces of gravel flew in all directions. The collision of these two people's attacks was the most terrifying collision since the beginning of the God and Devil Invitational Tournament. It was simply earth-shattering. King Zhong's expression changed, and he retreated rapidly until he reached the edge of the arena before he could stand still. His hands were constantly trembling. The Neptune's fury in his hand seemed to be unable to be held. Many small cracks appeared on his arm, and blood seeped out from them. Although it wasn't much, everyone knew that he had suffered a great loss this time, because at this moment, Ling Xiao was still as calm as ever, as if nothing had happened. It was obvious that he had the upper hand in this attack. With great difficulty, King Zhong finally regained control of his body. He could feel how powerful a true advanced king-level martial skill was. However, even though he was injured, the corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. That was the smile of a scheme that succeeded. It was the smile of victory in sight. I'm inferior to them. The Dragon Shark King shook his head and smiled bitterly. These two people are simply both freaks. Ling Xiao's attack, I'd be seriously injured to the brink of death no matter what. But that King Zhong actually only suffered some light injuries. Great. Looks like Brother Ling should be fine. That King Zhong only knows how to boast. He clearly doesn't have any real ability. Battle Soul said excitedly. I don't think so. Dark Frost frowned and said, King Zhong seems to have some scheme. He's deliberately guiding Ling Xiao to release that strongest attack. You guys, look at the Heavenly Emperor Dynasty's side. Everyone's faces don't have worried looks. Instead, they're still smiling. Then what to do? Battle Soul was somewhat panicking. Watch quietly. Big Brother Ling Xiao won't be so easy to scheme against. People who scheme against him tend to play themselves to death. Although Dark Frost knew that King Zhong had a scheme, she trusted Ling Xiao a lot. In terms of playing mind games, no one would be Ling Xiao's match. This move should be your strongest attack, right? I really want to see how you're going to receive my next move. My Heavenly Emperor Spear art has 3 moves. Each move is stronger than the previous. Can you block it? King Zhong already stopped trembling. His injuries also recovered because of the medicinal pill. After that, he immediately started to brew the next move. Ling Xiao could feel that on the Neptune's Fury, there was an even more terrifying power condensing. That kind of power was what a genuine high-class king level martial technique should have. This guy really looks like his martial soul is somewhat different from the rest. I keep feeling that other people's martial souls being able to increase 1 or 2 times combat power is already the limit. But his martial soul can increase 4 or 5 times combat power. The cultivation of martial souls is a little interesting. Acquired martial souls are already like this. Then what will innate martial souls be like? Ling Xiao was really looking forward to it very much. But at this stage, he still had to resolve the problem in front of him first. The enemy was not to be trifled with. Heavenly Emperor Spear Arts, second move. A divine spear moves Black Tortoise. King Zhong did not want to give Ling Xiao any chance to catch his breath, so his attack speed this time was very fast. The Neptune's Fury was brandished. A huge black tortoise appeared in the void. It was completely condensed from water. It contained an extremely terrifying power inside. Then it crazily charged at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's choice was the same as before, for swords attacked together, but this time Ling Xiao was clearly at a disadvantage. The amplification of the Neptune's Fury plus the amplification of the exquisite dual rings. King Zhong's attack was actually many times stronger than his own. The 4 sword energies were all scattered after a moment of stalemate. Then, the terrifying aftershock struck Ling Xiao's body. Despite having the glacier battle armor and the king-level black tortoise divine physique, Ling Xiao was still injured. Many tiny cracks appeared all over his body. Chapter 3481. The wounds on Ling Xiao's body were all cut by the aura of the Neptune's wrath. Although it wasn't very serious, the one who suffered this time was Ling Xiao. This scene made Dark Frost's heart tremble. The fighting spirit and battle spirit were even more flustered. They were even thinking in their hearts. Although Ling Xiao was a peerless genius, his opponent was the #1 genius from 20 years ago. Having lived for 20 years, he was definitely much stronger than Ling Xiao. It was already very good that Ling Xiao could hold on until now. It was impossible for him to win. What are you panicking for? Dark Frost tried her best to calm herself down. Her concern for Ling Xiao was definitely no less than Cold Plum and Longchin. Although she trusted Ling Xiao very much, she was still a little flustered in her heart. But she knew that she couldn't panic. If she panicked, others would also panic. Big brother Ling Xiao must have another move. Definitely. There seemed to be no reason to say such words, but this was Dark Frost's trust in Ling Xiao. She believed that Ling Xiao would definitely be able to find a way to deal with King Zhong. But this second move is already so powerful. King Zhong said that there is still a third move. The fighting spirit was still a little anxious. Don't worry, Master can win. Cold Plum was calmer than Dark Frost because she had seen Ling Xiao display his might countless times. Moreover, she also knew what other trump cards Ling Xiao had. There was no need to worry about winning. What they had to consider now was just how to win. Of course, the myriad countries, Heavenly Emperor dynasty, and Alliance of Revenge were already overjoyed, seeing that King Zhong's plan worked, drawing out Ling Xiao's strongest martial skill and directly breaking it. They finally heaved a sigh of relief. I was originally worried that Ling Xiao might have something special, but now it seems like he's at his wit's end. That's right, the so-called #1 genius of the Western region is nothing more than this. Thinking of his confident look just now, I feel funny. This is a powerhouse. This was a true king. The Heavenly King Spear Arts, the Spear Arts of a king, the Spear Arts of a tyrant. The next move will definitely take Ling Xiao's life. The Koi king looked at King Zhong and revealed an expression of worship and infatuation. Compared to Prince Zhong, the heavenly prince is just a child. If you want to marry someone, you have to marry someone like that. Prince Tian had just died not long ago, and the Koi king had already begun to fall in love with someone else. However, she couldn't be blamed for this. Who asked Prince Tian to be such a trash, while Prince Zhong's performance was so strong and intoxicating? Ling Xiao only smiled disdainfully at the discussions of the people around him. In this world, how many people knew what his true trump card was? The only people who could force him to use all his trump cards were probably the three great powerhouses of the Western region. Of course, when faced with a terrifying existence like the master of the Fiend God token, he didn't need to use his trump card at all because he was basically going to die, unless he chose to run for his life. Without the need for any medicinal pills, his body automatically recovered. This kind of injury was nothing to the Black Tortoise Divine Physique's recovery ability. Are you very proud of yourself? Ling Xiao smiled slightly. Why can't I be proud? King Zhong sneered. You seem to only have one move left, right? I remember that you said at the beginning that you could finish me in 3 moves. However, this move only caused slight damage to me. I don't even need to use any medicinal pills to block it. Are you sure you can defeat me with your next move? Ling Xiao said indifferently. Whether I can defeat you or not, you will know soon. King Zhong began to gather his strength again. A moment later, his feet trembled, and his figure suddenly rushed forward like a crazy cheetah. The Neptune's fury in his hand was like the weapon of the god of death, filled with a terrifying and austere aura. Brother Ling. The Dragon Shark, Warrior Soul, and War Soul all cried out in shock, because with their eyesight they could also see how terrifying King Zhong's attack was. They definitely couldn't be careless. Ling Xiao actually couldn't hear them at all. Ling Xiao, who was wholeheartedly immersed in the battle, had long forgotten everything around him. He knew what King Zhong was expecting the 4 swords into one to be his ultimate move. Did he say that it was his ultimate move? He sneered, and almost at the same time his move was completed. It was just that he hadn't released it yet. He wanted to give King Zhong a surprise. At this moment, King Zhong was also extremely nervous in his heart. Although the second move suppressed Ling Xiao, seeing Ling Xiao's calm and composed expression, he always felt a little uneasy in his heart. Moreover, according to his initial thoughts, the second move should be able to seriously injure Ling Xiao. Then, the third move would definitely be able to kill Ling Xiao. But the current situation was indeed that the second move only lightly injured Ling Xiao. He didn't even use any medicinal pills and was already healed. This kid is too terrifying. We definitely can't let him live. Otherwise, my Heavenly Emperor dynasty will treat him like this today. In the future, he will definitely destroy my Heavenly Emperor dynasty. Thinking of this, King Zhong's aura became even stronger. He was almost at full capacity. His true essence was pushed to 90%. Originally, if I used the bloodthirsty plague at this time, you would definitely be finished. But that would be pointless. Only when I completely suppress you in martial skills will you completely collapse. Ling Xiao smiled and didn't use any ability to weaken his opponent. It wasn't worth it anyway. King Zhong saw the smile on Ling Xiao's face. He really didn't know what Ling Xiao was thinking in his heart. He only knew that his attack was already fully prepared. If he didn't release it at this time, then the one who would be injured would be him. Heavenly Emperor Spear Art's third move. Fury of the Spear God destroying the world. Following King Zhong's angry roar, a terrifying and overbearing spear intent to the extreme bloomed. Suddenly, the entire ring broke apart from the middle with a kacha sound, but fortunately it didn't collapse, so it still didn't hinder the battle. This spear was like the attack of the god of destruction. How domineering was it? How spectacular was it? How invincible was it? Compared to this move, The previous two moves were simply like children playing house. This kind of sudden rise in power made many people a little unable to react for a while. How can it be so strong? Yeah, this kind of power, I'm afraid it has already reached the peak power of a high-grade king martial skill. I dare to bet that Ling Xiao won't be able to block it this time. On the rostrum, the God Devil Token's owner was still looking coldly. Kid, let me see what qualifications you have to be so bold in front of me. I believe that you are definitely not as simple as they think. Beside him, the Blood Axe Snake clan's patriarch Shifeng sighed. Unfortunately, my Blood Axe Snake clan's enemy can't be killed by our Blood Axe Snake clan. He won't die, the God Devil Token's owner said indifferently. Why? Shifeng asked in surprise. Shi Xiaozong also felt very strange. Why would the God Devil Token's owner value this young man so much? But the God Devil Token's owner didn't answer them. He just quietly watched everything that happened on the stage. The terrifying spear intent was already approaching. Everyone stared at Ling Xiao, wanting to see what other tricks Ling Xiao had up his sleeves. At this moment, Ling Xiao took out his sword. Is it that move again? Sure enough, he has exhausted his abilities. Chapter 3482. Is it that 4 swords in one move again? Looks like he doesn't have much ability left. When the crowd saw Ling Xiao summon his treasured sword again, they couldn't help feeling disdain. One had to know that he had already suffered a loss when facing King Zhong's second move. Facing the third move, he actually used the same move to block it. Wasn't this purely courting death? Exhausting one's abilities, this was the situation. But a genius of a generation can't compete with the resources of a large faction. There were also people who sighed for Ling Xiao. After all, King Zhong's current strength was mostly due to Neptune's fury and the exquisite twin rings. Kill him! King Zhong stood up excitedly and roared. Among all of them, his hatred for Ling Xiao was probably the greatest. After all, he only had one son, and that son who could inherit him was killed by Ling Xiao and Longqin. Humph, Dragon Shark, do you see that? Your new master is about to die. Come back. Dragon Mother coldly snorted and looked at Dragon Shark King. Even if he dies, I'm still his brother. There's no need to say any more. I've already returned a life to you. This life belongs to Ling Xiao. If he dies, I'll take revenge for him. Dragon Shark King coldly said. Idiot! Dragon Mother choked with anger. However, when she thought that Ling Xiao was about to die, her mood was still quite good. However, no one noticed that Ling Xiao had no intention of jumping off the stage to admit defeat. His expression was as calm as ever. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Although Prince Tian died, an even more powerful King Zhong appeared. If his cultivation improves, he only needs to reach the 3rd level of the reincarnation divine realm. I believe that even Dragon Mother, Dark Frost, and I won't be his match. Sigh, the Heavenly Emperor dynasty truly has a deep foundation. I can't help but admire them. The leader of the Avenging Alliance sighed. King Zhong's performance could be said to have made him feel a huge threat. If it wasn't for the chance to enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum, he wouldn't cooperate with King Zhong. Keeping such a person alive was the biggest problem. Everyone said that Prince Zhong was the #1 genius of the Western regions 20 years ago. But in his opinion, Prince Zhong could be said to be the #1 genius of the Western regions in the last 100 years. If he continued to grow, there would be hope for the revival of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty in the future. Most likely, the entire Western region would be under his rule. Spear God's wrath, annihilating the world. As expected, it was extremely overbearing. That unstoppable, world-destroying aura even made people feel like doomsday had arrived for a moment. Many people were trembling with fear. I didn't think that there would be such a genius in the Western regions. This Prince Zhong can be roped in. Becoming this lord's subordinate shouldn't be a problem. The owner of the God and Devil Order knew that Ling Xiao was disobedient, but this King Zhong could be roped in. He believed that Prince Zhong's future was definitely brighter than his three strongest subordinates. But why? The God Fiend confused his master. Why was there no trace of fear on Ling Xiao's face? Not a trace of panic could be seen? Could it be that this person had no such feelings as fear? He didn't believe it. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, the 4 swords were already in the air. The Fire Supreme Sword was incomparably hot. Supreme Ice Sword, cold and murderous. Supreme Spirit Sword, mysterious and dangerous. Exquisite Sword, outstanding like an immortal. The 4 swords were flickering with 4 different kinds of light. But this didn't cause people to be surprised, because people had already seen this move several times. Although it was powerful, it was still very powerful. Although it was powerful, it was definitely not a match for Prince Zhong's last move. Whoosh! Suddenly, the 5th sword was in the air. Supreme Snake Sword was extremely poisonous. The 5 swords reflected each other's brilliance in the air and then quickly rotated, gradually fusing into one. It turned into a huge 5-colored sword beam. The power of this sword beam was much stronger than the 4 sword beams, reaching 25 times the attack power. And the 4 sword beams were only 20 times the attack power. 5 times the basic attack power in a battle between 2 strong people was an absolute huge advantage. In addition to the Supreme Snake Sword's characteristics, this 5-colored sword beam was terrifyingly poisonous. It could even catch the enemy off guard. What's going on? Why are there 5 swords? Aren't there only 4 swords? I feel that there's something wrong with this power. It seems to be much stronger than before. Impossible, this guy must be bluffing. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, Ling Xiao had already released his attack. Supreme Fire Blazing Sky, Sword Art. Supreme Ice Cold Sky, Sword Art. Supreme Spirit Sky, Sword Art. Supreme Snake Venomous Sky, Sword Art. Exquisite Celestial Sword Art. 5 swords in one. The 5 sword beams fused into one and turned into 5-colored sword beams, colliding with Prince Zhong's attack. In an instant, the entire arena was filled with smoke and dust, blocking everyone's eyes. They could only hear the arena crumbling, but they didn't know how the battle was going. Many people thought that Ling Xiao was bluffing, but there were also many people who believed that Ling Xiao had an even stronger fusion skill. After all, if 4 swords could fuse, why couldn't 5 swords? Now, the God Devil Order owner, Dragon Mother, Revenge Alliance leader, and Heavenly King suddenly understood why Ling Xiao had proposed such a condition previously. Perhaps the meteorite iron and sea soul jade were also the key to cultivating a sword technique. At this moment, they were regretting. They regretted giving Ling Xiao such a good item. Rumble. In the smoke and dust, Neptune's fury kept retreating, and the spear intent kept weakening. The power of 5 swords in one was simply too terrifying. This made Prince Zhong's expression extremely ugly. As for the audience, they were anxiously stomping their feet because they couldn't see the battle situation. The power of these 2 people's attacks was simply too terrifying. Impossible. How is this possible? Prince Zhong was completely flustered. The Heavenly King's sword art's second move had gained an advantage, which made him full of confidence. The power of the 3rd move was at least 2 times stronger. So he thought that he could easily defeat Ling Xiao and even kill Ling Xiao. But how could he have expected that Ling Xiao actually had such a terrifying attack hidden? At your wit's end? How stupid. Ling Xiao is so confident in one-on-one combat. How could he not have any trump cards? How could he be exhausted? I have miscalculated. Even though he knew that he had miscalculated, Prince Zhong couldn't accept such a failure. He desperately channeled his true essence, hoping to block Ling Xiao's attack. Rumble. There was another loud sound, and Neptune's fury retreated again. and the spear intent had almost completely dissipated. No. Prince Zhong screamed as his body was directly sent flying. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. A mouthful of blood with fragments of internal organs was spat out from Prince Zhong's mouth. It spilled all over the ground. At this moment, Prince Zhong's hair was disheveled and his clothes were tattered. His body was actually covered in blood. There are countless wounds, all of which were cut by the sword qi. The most troublesome thing was that his blood was gradually turning purplish black. That was an obvious sign of poisoning. At this moment, the smoke and dust finally dispersed. Nearly half of the stage had been cut, but fortunately it didn't completely disappear and the approximate range could still be seen. Prince Zhong was at the edge of the stage, and Neptune's fury ruthlessly stabbed into the gap of the stage. In the end, it didn't fall down. Chapter 3483. King Zhong struggled to get up, constantly coughing out black blood. His eyes were already somewhat blurred. Everyone was completely stupefied at this moment. They simply did not know what had happened. Just now, it was clearly King Zhong who had launched the final attack. It was clearly King Zhong who wanted to end the battle. How did the situation change so drastically in the blink of an eye? Ling Xiao was practically unscathed, but King Zhong was clearly seriously injured. This was definitely not a problem that could be solved with pills. It was impossible to recover in a short period of time. "I'm going to kill you." The Heavenly King jumped up. Not only did Ling Xiao cause the death of his son, but he also severely injured his brother. With his violent temper, how could he control himself? "Big brother, it's fine. It's just a small injury. I won't die. If you come up now, I will completely lose." King Zhong shook his head and swallowed 2 pills. One was an antidote pill, the other was a healing pill. Although it was impossible to recover in a short period of time, it was still better to recover a little. It was impossible for him to admit defeat. He still had a real trump card that he had not taken out. How could he lose like this? Although he was in a sorry state, although he looked seriously injured, his eyes were still filled with fighting spirit. He was not completely at a loss. Admit defeat. It was not easy to cultivate to this point. "I have already killed Prince Tian. I don't want to kill you anymore." Ling Xiao looked at King Zhong, who stood up and said indifferently, no matter what the other party's trump card was, he could not lose. The other party had a trump card, but so did he. Moreover, his trump card was incomparable. However, he had to admit that King Zhong was powerful. 5 swords in one. It was the power of all the sword techniques he had cultivated in the 9 sovereign sword arts. He was still unable to knock King Zhong off the stage. This King Zhong was also a tenacious guy. He liked tenacious guys. Moreover, there was actually no deep hatred between him and King Zhong. If there was, it was because he killed Prince Tian. But that was an eye for an eye. He really did not want to kill King Zhong anymore. There were only so few experts in the Western region. The real enemy was the owner of the God-Devil token. Admit defeat? No. Impossible. Ling Xiao, I have to say that you are really the most terrifying genius in 1,000 years, no, 10,000 years. If you're still alive, not only will the Western region be yours in the future, even the entire Black Tortoise continent will be yours. But unfortunately, today I must defeat you. Prince Zhong clenches his teeth. After eating some pills, he feels that his body is much more comfortable. His injuries did not seem to be that serious. Hee, thank you for the praise, but I still will not give you first place. Ling, that guy is really shameless. He actually accepted Prince Zhong's words. That's right. What number 1 genius in 10,000 years? That's all he can do in the Western regions. Cough, cough, you can't say that. Otherwise, wouldn't the Blood Axe Serpent clan be worse than a fart? You should have followed up with another attack. I don't think so. Ling Xiao smiled. I didn't chase because I felt that there was no need. Because no matter what trump card you have, you are not my match. What if it was sea god arts? King Zhong sneered. I comprehended it from sea god's wrath. To be honest, I don't know what level of martial skill it is, but it is definitely much stronger than my previous attack. Although your 5 swords and 1 is powerful, you are still not my match. Hee hee, that's just what you think. Don't you think that you are a bit too conceited? From the beginning, you said that you would defeat me in 3 moves, but in the end, 3 moves have passed, and it seems that you are the one who is seriously injured. And not me. Now, have you not learned your lesson? Ling Xiao mocked. I have no sympathy for people who don't know life from death. I admit that I don't want to kill you, but if you insist on going about things the wrong way, I don't mind killing one more person from the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. I heard that my nephew tried to snatch your dragon race friend back then. Later on, he did get it, although that was just your scheme. But it is also because you are weak. Presumably, in order to deal with him, you must have worked very hard during this period of time, right? To be able to reach today, it is really not easy. To be honest, I don't want to kill you, but you killed my nephew, so I must take revenge. King Zhong was not angered by Ling Xiao's mocking. He seemed to be very calm. You are wrong. Prince Tian is not worthy for me to chase after. My goal has always been the 4 major regions. Even the God Devil Order Master is just a stumbling block on my path. Sooner or later, I will move him away. You people, your horizons are too narrow. How can a sparrow know the ambition of a swan? Ling Xiao said disdainfully. Is that so? It is a pity that your goal will end here. In the end, you are really unlucky to have met me. King Zhong was somewhat surprised, but he immediately calmed down. The youth in front of him was unexpectedly calm. It even made him doubt himself. My luck has always been good, and what I like the most is to go against the heavens and change my fate. My fate is in my own hands, not the heavens. You are not the heavens, so you can't decide my fate. Ling Xiao said clearly. Ha 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 ha. Everyone can show off their bravery before they die. But it is a pity. King Zhong laughed wildly. Then he suddenly became serious. The Neptune's fury in his hand pointed at Ling Xiao. Then, King Zhong slowly walked towards Ling Xiao. It just looked slow. In that instant, the entire world seemed to be submerged by the sea. Everything became silent. Only the sea was roaring. It was surging. Ling Xiao could not even see King Zhong's figure. He could not see the stage. He could not feel the spear intent. What a terrifying spear technique. Could this be the so-called Neptune arts? Is this the martial technique of the Neptune's fury? Ling Xiao had to admit that even if it was Dark Frost, she would not be able to win against King Zhong's spear. But he could. Sometimes a nemesis was like that. It was just that he, Ling Xiao, might be the nemesis of all martial artists. Neptune arts, that should be a Peak King level martial technique. It is the strongest martial technique that the Neptune Emperor used in the past. Then Ling Xiao can be considered lucky to die under the Neptune arts. Unfortunately, he is not like King Zhong, who can cultivate a martial spirit and can communicate with the weapon. He is unable to comprehend the martial technique of the weapon. The God Devil Token's owner shook his head. He knew that everything was over this time. Shifeng, don't feel regretful. After that kid dies, his corpse will be handed over to you. You can do whatever you want with it. He turned to look at one of his most capable subordinates and said indifferently, Thank you, Master. Shifeng was overjoyed. Chapter 3484. Ling Xiao couldn't hear the sounds from the outside world at all. At this moment, he was like a person isolated by the world, a person imprisoned by the sea. In addition to the sea, there was still the sea. In addition to the sound of the sea, there was still the sound of the sea. He knew how terrifying this spear was. It was many times more powerful than the Heavenly King's spear art. The Heavenly King spear art was only a mid-level king level martial technique. It could only reach the power of a high-level king level with the help of a weapon. And this move was a true peak king level martial technique. Although he couldn't hear the sound and couldn't see the opponent, Ling Xiao could still feel that danger was approaching at an extremely fast speed. Now he had 4 choices. First, he could use the Heavenly Tyrant martial soul to resolve the crisis, but there are too many people present and it would easily cause trouble. Second, he could use the Bloody Rat to resolve the crisis, but the price was a bit high. He had just reached the first level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm and would definitely fall back. Third, he could quickly comprehend the 6th sword art, the 7-star Heavenly Falling Sword art. Anyway, he had the materials and the 7-star sword, so there shouldn't be a problem. 6 swords into one, his fusion technique would reach the power of a peak king level martial technique, which would definitely not be inferior to the opponent's attack. Fourth, comprehending the Ice Age martial techniques under immense pressure was actually the most difficult of all. But Ling Xiao hoped that he could do it, because the Ice Age was such a powerful weapon in his hand, but he couldn't use the matching martial technique. That would be too much of a waste. And the greater the crisis, the greater the pressure, the easier it would be to comprehend. Anyway, he had the life backtrack skill, even if he was really killed. So what? Thinking of this, he abandoned all distracting thoughts and closed his eyes, comprehend the opponent's attack, and at the same time comprehend his own unique skill. The Ice Age and the Wrath of the Sea God were both ancient emperor weapons, but they had the same effect. Although Ling Xiao didn't have the ability to cultivate the acquired martial soul like King Zhong and reach the heart and mind realm, but he believed in his own perception. He believed in his outburst under the crisis. In the eyes of the outside world, he was simply waiting for death. He had completely given up resistance. No, I have to go up and help him. Dark Frost was anxious. At this time, she could no longer remain calm. Even if Ling Xiao lost, she couldn't just watch as Ling Xiao died. The moment Prince Zhong used the Sea God secret art, Dark Frost was already unable to maintain absolute trust. She could not let her brother take any risks. However, when she rushed to the front of the stage, she was stopped by Lung Mei. Dodge! Dark Frost roared. Calm down. I care about Master more than anyone else. I don't want Master to die, but I knew that he wouldn't die so easily. You'd better stay here. Once you step onto the arena, it would be considered a violation of the rules and Master would lose. I won't allow that to happen. Cold Plum shook her head and refused to back down. Who cares if he wins or loses now? So what if he loses? He'll still get the chance to go to the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. I can't risk it. I don't want to attack you, Dark Frost shouted. Cold Plum still shook her head and refused to back down. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Dark Frost. While Dark Frost was extremely nervous and anxious, a karate chop landed on the back of her neck. The one who attacked was Long Chin. Let your palace master have a good rest. Boss, he won't die so easily. Long Chin and Cold Plum had followed Ling Xiao the longest. They had followed him from the Sky Dragon continent to the Black Tortoise continent. They knew Ling Xiao better than anyone else. I really don't know where they get their confidence from. Are they all sick in the head? The people from the Celestial Empire mocked. At this time, Ling Xiao had obviously given up resisting. How could there be a chance for him to turn the situation around? He was simply daydreaming. Hee, they're just deceiving themselves. Not to mention that Ling Xiao, even Dragon Mother, and I wouldn't dare to take this attack head-on. The leader of the Vengeance Alliance sneered. That's right. This time, that kid won't be able to escape. Dragon Mother was also very sure. Even the owner of the God Devil token couldn't see any possibility of Ling Xiao turning the situation around. He didn't understand where Long Chin and Cold Plum's confidence came from. On the side of the Hall of Souls, Warrior Soul and Battle Soul were also very confused. Dragon Shark King couldn't help but say, Don't joke around with Ling Xiao's life. Although you're also boss's brother, you've been in this group for too short a time. You don't understand how terrifying boss is. Long Qin shook his head and said, "Thank you for caring about boss at this time. But you just have to wait and see." Cold Plum and Long Qin didn't blindly believe in Ling Xiao. There was a reason why they believed in him. Ling Xiao hadn't used his strongest trump card yet. How could he die? Dragon Shark King maintained his silence and looked at the arena. Time seemed to slow down all of a sudden, and a cloud of misty water vapor actually appeared on the stage. In an instant, the mist froze and blocked everyone's vision again. They couldn't see what was happening inside. They could only wait anxiously. At the moment when their vision was blocked, they only saw that King Zhong's attack was less than 3 meters away from Ling Xiao. And these 3 meters might not even take a second. Extreme cold domain. Don't struggle needlessly. Your extreme cold domain can only delay my attack for a moment at most. You still have to die. Prince Zhong was betting everything on this attack. With his current cultivation, he could only use a peak king stage martial technique once. Moreover, he was seriously injured. If he couldn't hit his opponent with this move, or if he defeated his opponent, then the one who lost in the end would definitely be him. But he had no regrets. He had gambled everything on it, because he believed in the power of this attack. He also believed that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to dodge it. This attack almost engulfed the entire arena. Unless Ling Xiao jumped off the arena, it would be useless no matter where he fled. Moreover, it was faster than words could tell. It would take a lot of words to describe this spear, but in reality, only an instant had passed. Not only was this spear extremely powerful, but it was also extremely fast. Ling Xiao didn't respond to King Zhong. Under the terrifying killing intent, his potential increased at a crazy speed. It had already climbed to 100% of the cultivation sea. He wasn't far from the second level of the reincarnation divine realm. However, breaking through seemed to still need some things. It was impossible for the time being. However, Ling Xiao had entered a mysterious environment at this time. The surroundings were a world of ice and snow. On the vast ice plains, a person holding a long sword faced the ferocious enemy with such confidence and calmness. The enemy was like a puppet in front of him. The terror of ice, the root of ice, was freezing. This was the true essence of the Ice Age. Suddenly, that figure overlapped with Ling Xiao's figure. Ling Xiao's eyes instantly opened, and at this time, King Zhong's deep-sea fury had already reached a meter in front of Ling Xiao. What? Chapter 3485. When King Zhong saw Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly open, he subconsciously felt that something was wrong. But at this time, the arrow was already on the bow, and he had no choice but to release it. He gritted his teeth, and the attack still went down. "I have to thank you. If not for you, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend this Ice Age's Ice Emperor's sword technique." Ling Xiao smiled. The huge Ice Age in his hand suddenly turned into a sharp long sword. It was no longer so huge that he could hold it with one hand, but it was more agile. Ice Emperor's sword techniques: first move, instant freeze. Impossible. King Zhong's eyeballs popped out. How could he have thought that Ling Xiao actually comprehended the Ice Emperor's sword technique at the last moment? This guy was not a genius. He was simply a monster. A terrifying monster. Crack! The ice cracked. A person walked out from inside. It was King Zhong. Although he was seriously injured, he did not die. He walked very steadily. Suddenly, he raised his head and roared at the sky. King Zhong's roar seemed to ignite the enthusiasm of the scene. The martial artists of Heavenly Dynasty, Myriad Countries, and Revenge Alliance all cheered. King Zhong won. Ling Xiao was dead. This was the ending they thought it would be. Otherwise, how could King Zhong walk out of that frozen domain unscathed? Ling Xiao, Dragon Shark King suddenly rushed towards the stage. His eyes were red. Clearly, he was extremely angry and dissatisfied. It was not easy for him to recognize such a brother, and he planned to be a good brother forever. But Ling Xiao died just like that. Battle Soul and Battle Soul were also trembling all over. They had long formed a lifelong friendship with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was killed. How could they not be angry? Fortunately, Dark Frost had fainted. Otherwise, when she saw this scene, how sad would she be? This might be the only thing worth rejoicing over. Wait a minute. Long Chin stopped Dragon Shark King. What else do you want? He's already dead. Don't tell me you don't even let me collect his corpse? I don't want to scold people, but your way of doing things is too stupid. Dragon Shark King was furious and did not give Long Chin any face. However, the angrier he was, the happier Long Chin felt for his boss. It meant that the Dragon Shark King truly wanted to be Ling Xiao's brother and friend, not just a pretense. However, he still couldn't let the Dragon Shark King go up. Because he was too familiar with Ling Xiao, he could even sense Ling Xiao's aura. Although it was very weak and almost non-existent, it was not a problem for the Dragon Clan at all. Dragon Shark King wanted to attack, but was restrained by Cold Plum and Long Chin. At this time, on Taogue's side, the Koi King was so excited that his face was red and his body was trembling violently. Saliva flowed out of his mouth. Prince Zhong! Ah, Prince Zhong! You are the most outstanding and powerful man in the eyes of the Koi King. I've been completely conquered by you. At this moment, she had completely forgotten about the pitiful Prince Tian. Prince Zhong was the one she was willing to marry. Ling Xiao, the person she hated the most, was also killed by Prince Zhong. This really made her the most excited. Son, your uncle has taken revenge for you. The Heavenly King looked up to the sky and sighed. The depression in his heart was finally eliminated. It settled. In the future, the Western region will probably be the world of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty, and the throne of the #1 martial artist can probably only be Prince Zhong. Sai, our avenging alliance had better make a decision early and rely on the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. The avenging alliance's leader sighed. To him, this decision was very difficult, because the Heavenly King sect in the Avenging Alliance had a deep enmity with the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. But if he didn't rely on them, he would probably be destroyed by the Heavenly Emperor dynasty in the future. It was better to be more sensible. What are you still doing there? Still not announcing the result? The God Devil Token's owner glanced at the female martial artist beside him and said coldly, "That Ling Xiao won't be able to live." Yes, master. The female martial artist was still in incomparable shock at this time. She didn't expect that the peerless genius would actually die like this. I announce that the winner this time is the Heavenly Emperor dynasty, Prince Zhong. Prince Zhong will also become the champion of the God Devil Invitational Tournament. The female martial artist announced loudly. Following the announcement of the result, earth-shaking shouts sounded out at the scene. The God Devil City's audience also did not expect that this final battle would actually be so exciting. In the beginning, Ling Xiao suppressed Prince Zhong. Then, Prince Zhong counterattacked and injured Ling Xiao. Following that, Prince Zhong attempted to eliminate Ling Xiao with his third move, but was counterattacked by Ling Xiao, turning the tables beautifully. He had no choice but to use his final trump card, the Sea God Art, and finally ended this battle that lasted for a long time. In the end, it proved that ginger was still spicier with age. Prince Zhong, the strongest genius in the Western region 20 years ago, was already the strongest genius now. Dragon Mother obtained the Sea God's fury for a full several years before finally seeing through the mysteries of the Sea God Art. However, he had only managed to learn 2 of the moves. But this Prince Zhong comprehended the first move of the Sea God Art in a mere 2 hours. This kind of terrifying talent, probably even the geniuses of the 4 major regions were also inferior. Big Brother Ling Xiao. Where's Big Brother Ling Xiao? Ming Shuang suddenly woke up and screamed like a madwoman. The warrior's soul and battle's soul both lowered their heads. They did not dare to speak. "I'm asking you a question." Darkfrost was anxious. "There's no need to ask. That big brotherling Xiao of yours is already dead." The Heavenly King looked over proudly and laughed mockingly. "He killed my son. Serves him right." "Dead. Big brotherling Xiao is dead? Impossible. You're lying to me. I'll kill you." Darkfrost was different from other girls. If other girls encountered their loved ones being killed, they might directly collapse. But she was different. The negative emotions in her personality were completely exposed. She glared fiercely at the Heavenly King and directly pounced over. It was only at this moment that Darkfrost understood how important big brother Ling Xiao was in her heart. It was more important than she thought. Ling Xiao's death was like digging out her heart and soul. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. All right, today's God and Devil Invitational Tournament was very exciting. Shi Feng, go and deal with Ling Xiao's funeral. I'll leave his body to you. Also, because Ling Xiao was killed, I've decided to send Dragon Shark King in after a comprehensive evaluation. The owner of the God and Devil token stood up and said, "I don't care. None of you can take away Big Brotherling Xiao's body." Dragon Shark King roared. "Hee, Dragon Shark, what are you doing? Don't curse me to die. I'm still alive and well." All the ice shattered, and Ling Xiao's figure appeared. The laughter made the scene dead silent. Many people looked at Ling Xiao as if they had seen a ghost. Darkfrost, Dragon Shark King, the Warrior Soul, and the Warrior Soul were all stunned for a moment. They were completely stunned. How could someone who was clearly dead come back to life? Hee, I've already said that boss won't die so easily. I'm sorry, Brother Dragon Shark. Longchin smiled and untied the Dragon Shark King. What's going on? I don't know how to express my feelings at all. Dragon Shark King did not know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 3486. What do you mean by dead or not? I'm fine. The reason why Ling Xiao didn't come out for a long time was because he had just comprehended the Ice Emperor's sword art and used the first move of this sword art to defeat King Zhong. He was comprehending that feeling there. He had to remember that feeling in order to better unleash this attack. I lost. I never said that I won. King Zhong walked down the stage by himself. Ling Xiao still showed mercy in that attack. According to Ling Xiao's meaning, it was to thank him for letting him comprehend the Ice Emperor's sword art. This made King Zhong very depressed. His roar was not because of victory, but because of grievance. That stunning sword had left a deep shadow in his heart. At that moment, he was like a puppet in front of Ling Xiao, unable to resist at all. Instant freeze! What a terrifying move! King Zhong still remembered the name of that move. God Devil Ordermaster, you are powerful, but your eyesight is really not that good. I clearly didn't die, so why did you say that I died? Ling Xiao turned his head to look at the God Devil Ordermaster, revealing a bit of ridicule. The God Devil Ordermaster's expression was incomparably awkward and also very surprised. Just now, with his cultivation, he actually didn't detect the slightest bit of Ling Xiao's aura. This loss of face was really a bit big. Other than him, the expressions of the others were also quite interesting, especially the people of myriad countries, Heavenly Emperor Dynasty, and Avenging Alliance. Each and every one of them looked like they had eaten feces. Their originally wonderful smiles instantly became mournful. How can this be? How is this possible? Under such a powerful attack, he actually didn't die? The Koi King fiercely smashed the ground as if he had gone crazy. Dragon Mother's expression was also not good. She had just mocked the Dragon Shark King for choosing an idiot friend. In the end, she was slapped in the face so quickly. The Heavenly King was the most depressed person. He thought that his son's death had been avenged, and the depression in his heart had been eliminated. But now that he saw that Ling Xiao didn't die, not only did that depression attack again, but it also became even more intense. So much so that he spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground, and his body couldn't help but shake a few times. Obviously, he was very angry. "Divine Devil Order Master, can you announce the results again?" Ling Xiao said loudly. Looking at the exciting and complicated performances of those people, he was extremely calm. Cough, cough. In this round, because Ling Xiao didn't die, Prince Zhong took the initiative to walk off the stage. So Ling Xiao won and took first place. Cold Plum ranked second. Prince Zhong is third. Although the owner of the Fiend God token was embarrassed, he was still a big shot and had a good attitude. After a moment of shock, he quickly regained his composure and announced the results again. But to be honest, he still didn't understand how Ling Xiao managed to hide his aura, to be able to do it without leaking anything at all. It was simply incomprehensible. The top 3 all received pretty good rewards. The third place was a healing pill. For Prince Zhong, this was the best. The second was a set of king-level martial skills. For Cold Plum, this was a timely help. Although her strength had increased greatly after fusing with the Butterfly Girl, she was still lacking in martial arts. It was probably because she hadn't found the part of her martial arts memories yet. This set of king-level martial skills just happened to come in handy. The reward for the first place was up to Ling Xiao to choose. They were 5 9th-level reincarnation divine realm monster cores, for which happened to be the 12 beast-type monster cores. One was a peak king level martial skill. The other was an immortal grade emperor weapon. Ling Xiao finally chose the first one. For martial arts, he had the Ice Emperor sword art and the 9 Supremes sword art. For weapons, he also had the Ice Age. So naturally, the first reward was the most helpful to him. After refining the 4 cores into beast souls, he believed that it was time for his cultivation base to rise again. After the 3 of them received their rewards, they returned to their respective formations. The Dragon Shark King asked in surprise, "Ling Xiao, I don't understand. How did you do it? King Zhong's attack was so terrifying, it was very difficult for you to block it." Before Ling Xiao could answer, Dark Frost had already hugged Ling Xiao's leg and cried very sadly. But in this sadness, there was also some joy and happiness. After experiencing despair and then hope, Dark Frost's heart had a roller coaster jump. For a moment, she didn't know how to express her feelings. "Actually, it's not a big deal. I comprehended the Ice Emperor sword art in the midst of danger." Ling Xiao smiled. There was nothing to hide. "I see. No wonder at that moment I felt the cold air on the stage suddenly skyrocketing. That's the reason why you released the Ice Emperor sword art. But you were actually able to hide your aura so cleverly that's too terrifying." The Dragon Shark King sighed. "It's nothing if I pretend to be an ordinary person. Even the God Devil token owner won't notice. I already knew how to conceal my aura when I was in the Heavenly Dragon Continent. Another reason was that Prince Zhong's attack was able to completely conceal my aura. Even if he was defeated, the barrier created by that attack still exists, and I froze it into ice. Under the dual effect, I'm afraid that other than Long Chun and Cold Plum are the most familiar with me, no one else will be able to detect my aura." Ling Xiao explained, "All right, let's not talk about these useless things. Let's think about what to do next. Since the slots have been filled, the next step should be to enter the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. Let's distribute the 5 extra slots." Long Chin walked over and said, "Let's go back to our place first. There shouldn't be anything else here today." There were too many eyes. Ling Xiao didn't plan to talk about things here. Right at that moment, the God Devil token owner suddenly stood up and smiled. Now, the 6 treasures and 18 people to open the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum have been gathered. But there's still one thing missing. That's the Ancient Emperor Mirror that can consecrate the 6 treasures. If anyone can obtain the Ancient Emperor Mirror, the 6 keys will truly take effect. Ancient Emperor Mirror. Yes, the ancient Emperor Mirror is in the Ice City where Wangul lives. Below the Ice City, there's a cold pool that's 10,000 meters deep. It's extremely cold inside. Only reincarnation divine realm martial artists can enter. Only Western region martial artists can enter. So, if you want to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance, I'm afraid you'll have to make a trip to the Ice City and take it out. Of course, I'll give whoever obtains the ancient Emperor Mirror 4 slots, and let him choose 4 people to enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. It had to be said that the words of the God-Devil token owner were very attractive, especially those from the major forces who didn't obtain a slot. For slots, if they could obtain it, it would be very different. And to Ling Xiao, this ancient Emperor Mirror was also a must. Otherwise, if he couldn't enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum, he wouldn't be able to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance. He had worked so hard to get to this point, and he didn't want to give up halfway. Chapter 3487. Do-Hun, Battle-Hun. You two go back to the Green Zone first, and take the chance to escape from this troublesome place. We'll go there to fight for the ancient Imperial Mirror. Ling Xiao suddenly looked at Do-Hun and Battle-Hun. Before entering the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum, you two need to cultivate more and try to break through to the rebirth divine realm. That way, you'll have a better chance of winning. Otherwise, I won't bring you in. You'll just be throwing your lives away. All right. The two were very straightforward because they knew they weren't strong enough. They'd only be a burden if they followed. Ling Xiao watched them leave. The people of Celestial Devil City didn't do anything. It was obvious that their target was Ling Xiao. Do-Hun and Battle-Hun were just small fries that they didn't care about. Cold Plum, you continue to cultivate in my martial spirit world. Long Chen, Dragon Shark, you two go ahead and investigate the situation in Ice City. Dark Frost will take care of things here and set off immediately. Ling Xiao had completely become the leader and backbone of this small team, especially after he defeated Duke Zhong, whether it was out of friendship or respect for him. Even the Dragon Shark King was willing to listen to his orders. When Ling Xiao's group began to move, the Myriad Countries Vengeance Alliance and Celestial Emperor Dynasty began to move as well. Celestial Emperor Dynasty currently had 2 spots to enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum, but they weren't satisfied. If they obtained the ancient Imperial Mirror, they'd have 5 more spots. Naturally, they'd fight for it. Thus, Celestial Emperor Dynasty and Duke Zhong headed straight for Ice City to seize the mirror while the rest returned to their strongholds. Myriad Countries Dragon Mother and Kong and the Vengeance Alliance's leader, Linglong Saintis, headed for Ice City first. The rest went to their respective strongholds under the leadership of King Koi and Feng Fei. No one expected the team led by King Koi and Feng Fei to encounter something strange along the way, although the two of them didn't take the same path. However, the situation was exactly the same. While King Koi was leading the team forward, a sudden gust of wind blew in front of them. It was a strange gust of wind that was black in color. It was as if a terrifying beast was about to swallow them whole with its bloody maw. The aura of danger and death spread. Run! King Koi felt that something was wrong and immediately gave the order. All the myriad kingdom martial artists fled. Then, the Demon Eye King saw a horrifying scene. A huge black hand reached out from the black whirlwind and grabbed her sister, the Koi King. Even though the Koi King struggled with all his might, he was powerless in front of the huge monster. In an instant, the storm disappeared. The Koi King also disappeared at the same time. The martial artists of Tato Land looked at this scene in horror, not knowing what had happened. He had never heard of such a natural disaster in the Archean Divine Tomb. I saw it. The demon, I Monarch's body was trembling nonstop. Her I captured an even more bizarre scene. There seemed to be a human face in the storm. It was this face that had swallowed the Koi King whole. Feng Fei's situation was exactly the same as his brother's. He was also taken away. The martial artists of the Revenge Alliance were also dumbfounded. Big Brother Ling Xiao, do we really have to take the risk to fight for the ancient imperial mirror? In fact, although that thing is useful to us, I believe that the other powers will fight for it. That's why the imperial tomb should open. We just have to wait. On the way, Dark Frost voiced her doubts. The ancient imperial mirror is only one aspect. More importantly, the cold pond mentioned by the fiend god Token Master made me think that there might be other treasures hidden there. I told you before that I need some things to complete my 9 sovereign sword arts. I haven't gathered all 9 swords yet. Additionally, the cold pond might be more useful for comprehending the Ice Age. I have to make a trip there as well. Paying attention to the ancient imperial mirror is only one aspect. If those people can't get it, we can go get it ourselves. Ling Xiao replied. So that's how it is. Big Brother Ling Xiao's considerations are much more comprehensive than mine. Dark Frost finally understood Ling Xiao's intentions. The fight for the ancient imperial mirror was more intense than expected. Besides the 4 powers, the remaining neutral martial artists were all heading towards Ice City, because everyone wanted to obtain the ancient sword emperor's legacy. It was a chance to soar to the skies so no one would miss it. Among these neutral martial artists, there was no lack of powerful people. Although they were lone travelers, their strength was probably not inferior to the top experts of the 4 powers. They usually kept a low profile because they didn't want to get into trouble. But when it was time to fight, how could they give up? Meanwhile, the fiend god Token Master in Fiend God City was paying close attention to everything through his subordinates. In his opinion, this was just a game. There were too many martial artists in the West region. Although they were all trash, it would be troublesome if a few geniuses appeared like the ancient Sword Emperor and the 8 ancient emperors. That was why the primordial divine tomb was opened. One of the objectives was to use the West region martial artists to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's legacy. The other objective was to eliminate them. Those who came were all geniuses or experts. These people would either die here or become slaves of the 4 major regions and return to the West region. Either choice could ensure the safety of the 4 major regions forever. The fiend god Token Master would be very happy if the West region martial artists killed each other. It would be enough as long as there were a dozen or so people left. After a day's journey, Ling Xiao and Dark Frost had arrived at Ice City. At this time, although Ice City was still under the control of Wangua, their control was obviously weakened a lot. After all, with the power of Wangua, they were still unable to fight against the other 3 major forces and the neutral martial artists. In many aspects, they could only endure. Anyway, those who came here basically wanted to enter the underground, cold pool of Ice City. They didn't have to stop them. Only reincarnation divine realm martial artists could enter the cold pool. If others wanted to enter, they would have to have some magic treasure. Otherwise, they would die if they went in. After arriving at Ice City, Ling Xiao found the message left by Long Qin, saying that he had entered the cold pool. Long Qin and Dragon Shark King were together, so Ling Xiao didn't have to worry. Both of them were kings of the water, and their strength was in the reincarnation divine realm. Girl, you stay up there and help us at any time. I'll be back soon. No one knew what would happen outside, so leaving Dark Frost outside was obviously safer. Dark Frost was also obedient. She nodded and sat down on the cold pool. No one dared to approach the place where she stayed. After all, her strength was there. Whoever disturbed her was simply courting death. Ling Xiao actually didn't have much interest in the ancient Emperor Mirror. Just as he told Dark Frost, he came here first for the Ice Age and second for the 9 supreme sword art. In the past, he didn't know that there was such a cold pool in Ice City. Since he knew, he must have come to try his luck. Just as he entered the water, Ling Xiao felt that the Western Region God Tomb map had a reaction. Chapter 3488. The moment Ling Xiao entered the water, he felt the map of the Western Region's divine tomb flicker. It guided him in one of the directions. This made him happy as he dashed in that direction. When he reached a depth of more than 5,000 meters, he found the 10,000 Kingdom sword hidden in an extremely hidden crevice. With the 10,000 Kingdom sword and the Sea Soul Jade, he could cultivate the 10,000 Kingdom Sea Sword technique. At this point, he could already cultivate 7 sword techniques. He wondered what it would be like. Just as he put the 10,000 Kingdom sword into his storage ring, the map of the Western region's divine tomb suddenly shook even more violently. This time, it's probably the ancient Emperor mirror. Although I don't need it, it's still a good thing if I can get it. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao used the Canopy Beast's ability to merge into the water and disappeared without a trace. After diving for nearly 5,000 meters, he was almost at the bottom of the cold lake. The map of the Western region's divine tomb was almost completely lit up. Ling Xiao was absolutely sure that the ancient Emperor mirror was here, and he also felt the aura of a person. This meant that someone had found the ancient Emperor mirror before him and was trying to take it away. The martial artists who could enter this cold lake were all experts. But even if it was Dragon Mother, or the leader of the Avenging Alliance, he was not afraid. Moreover, he had the Canopy Beast's beast soul, so his survival ability in the water was almost at its peak. Even if he could not win, he could retreat safely. Although he did not particularly need the ancient Emperor mirror, it would be good if he could get it. Therefore, he sneaked in the direction of that figure. In the eyes of others, there was no one there. It was just water. When he was almost there, Ling Xiao felt that person's aura through the water. It's actually Dragon Mother. After all, this is Ice City, the territory of the 10,000 Kingdom. Dragon Mother is one of the top forces in the Western region. It's not surprising that she was the first to find the ancient Emperor mirror. After discovering that it was Dragon Mother, Ling Xiao did not intend to leave. Even if you get the ancient Emperor mirror, I will create some trouble for you. Otherwise, wouldn't I have come here for nothing? Ling Xiao chuckled. He didn't like Mother Dragon. It wasn't just because she kept staring at him and wanted to kill him. Moreover, it was because Dragon Mother was too heartless. She could even abandon her own son. What else could this woman not do? Of course, if the Dragon Mother entered the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum, it would be extremely troublesome for him to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance. It would be best if he could kill this old woman. However, his current ability was probably not at that level yet. Since that was the case, he might as well annoy the other party a little. Dragon Mother seems to be afraid of something? Ling Xiao realized that although Dragon Mother knew the location of the ancient sovereign mirror, she hadn't done anything. Only when he looked over there did he realize that there was a giant python in the cold pool where the ancient imperial mirror was. The strength of this frost pool giant python had reached the 3rd level of the 1-star reincarnation divine realm. Even the Dragon Mother would be wary of him. She would try her best not to provoke him. The giant frost pool python was currently in a deep slumber and did not seem to be aware of its surroundings. 2 reactions. Ling Xiao suddenly realized that the map of the Western region divine tomb actually had 2 reactions. One was the ancient sovereign mirror, and the other was similar to the reaction of the 10,000 Kingdom sword. Could it be that the giant frost pool python swallowed a sword? Ling Xiao immediately opened his Tai Chi eye. Through the giant frost pool python's stomach, he really saw a sword. It's the Demon Supreme Sword. Moreover, there are many weapons and martial artists' corpses in the giant frost pool python's stomach. It seems like someone once used the Demon Supreme Sword to fight with the giant frost pool python, but was killed in the end. Ling Xiao was secretly delighted. It was extremely important for him to gather the 10 swords as soon as possible. The other materials could be found in the 4 major regions. However, if he missed out on the 10 swords, he would never be able to find them again. As long as he could get the Demon Supreme Sword, he would have 8 swords. Only the Heavenly King's Sword and the 8 Immortal Swords were left. However, there was still some time before the primordial divine tomb closed. He believed that he would have a chance. For now, he had to get the Demon Supreme Sword first. If he wanted the Demon Supreme Sword, he had to fight with the giant frost pool python. However, with his strength it was really difficult. Although it was difficult, he could give up the ancient sovereign mirror, but he could not give up the Demon Supreme Sword. It seemed that he had to make use of Dragon Mother. It was killing two birds with one stone. He would let the giant frost pool python torture Dragon Mother. It would also let Dragon Mother kill the giant frost pool python. Then he would benefit from it and get the Demon's Supreme Sword. He believed that it would be difficult to defeat Dragon Mother with his strength. However, if he just wanted to snatch the Demon Supreme Sword from the giant frost pool python's stomach, it would not be too difficult. Thinking of this, he sneered and quietly hid nearby. Dragon Mother was fully focused on the ancient sovereign mirror and the giant frost pool python. She was not in the mood to care about the situation around her. In addition, Ling Xiao's concealment ability was extremely strong. Therefore, it was normal that she did not discover him. Dragon Mother was only 4 to 5 meters away from the ancient sovereign mirror. Ling Xiao smiled. "Old woman, I'll let you suffer today." Using the Canopy Beast ability, Ling Xiao controlled a small stream of water and directly hit the giant frost pool python's eyelids. Although the attack was not strong, it was enough to wake up the sleeping giant frost pool python. Dragon Mother was about to succeed. She wanted to take the ancient sovereign mirror without alarming the giant frost pool python. However, at this moment, the giant frost pool python's eyes suddenly opened. Dragon Mother was shocked and hurriedly retreated more than 10 steps away. She had to retreat. This giant frost pool python was extremely strong. If she was suddenly attacked at such a close distance, even she would feel a headache. What's going on? Why did this evil beast suddenly wake up? Damn it, I was just 1 step away, but I failed at the last step. Dragon Mother was very depressed. Originally, she only wanted to take the ancient sovereign mirror and turn around to leave. With her ability, she was definitely able to do this. However, she had never expected that the giant python in the cold pool would wake up at the most crucial moment, even though she had done everything perfectly. It woke up without any warning. Not only did it give her a fright, moreover, her plan had been foiled. Next, if she wanted to get the ancient sovereign mirror, she could only fight head-on. Roar! The giant frost pool python's voice was different from ordinary pythons. The roar was very terrifying. With a roar, the water in the entire cold pool began to stir crazily. If Ling Xiao did not have the Canopy Beast's beast soul, it would be a little troublesome now. As for Dragon Mother, she was not afraid. After all, she was from the Sea Clan. The water was her main battlefield. The giant frost pool python's roar and the breath it spat out was cold. It was so cold that it made people tremble. Those huge eyes were like 2 small suns, shining with silver-white light. Chapter 3489. Bastard, are you trying to gather everyone here? Dragon Mother frowned. Her body trembled as she struck out with her palm. If the frost pool giant python continued to roar like this, it was likely that even more people would come. By then, it would be hard to say who the ancient Emperor Mirror would belong to. Just as she had expected, the giant python's roar was heard by all the experts in the frigid pond, and all of them gathered around her. Those who dared to enter the cold pool were not weaklings. No one was afraid of anyone. Although the giant python of the cold pool was very powerful, it could not intimidate those experts. Bang! Dragon Mother struck out with her palm. The water condensed into a huge palm and smashed onto the python's head. The python's head was flung away. It was a little stunned. Perhaps the python did not expect that a mere 1 meter tall member of the sea race would dare to attack it. It did not react in time, but Dragon Mother did not care about this. After that palm strike, she followed up with another attack. She did not give the python a chance to fight back. This time, Ling Xiao had a feast for his eyes. Although he hated Dragon Mother, He had to admit that this woman was terrifying. The python, who was also at the third level of the reincarnation divine realm, could not resist her. This woman was really fierce. After all, she hadn't used the Neptune's fury yet. If she used that, it would be even more terrifying. Roar! The python was enraged. It was forced to this extent by a mere member of the sea race. Did they really think it was a pushover? With a roar, it finally found an opportunity. A terrifying cold air was spat out, freezing the surrounding water, and Dragon Mother's attack speed was significantly reduced. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the python smashed its tail on Dragon Mother's body. Dragon Mother was sent flying. She spat out blood. Die! Dragon Mother, who was vomiting blood, became even angrier. Ling Xiao had always wanted to know what Dragon Mother's true form was. Today he finally saw it. This fellow was actually a huge sea snake. After transforming into a huge sea snake, it was like two super beasts fighting. Dragon Mother's advantage was even more obvious. The battle lasted less than a minute. Dragon Mother smashed the python's head with her body. Chance! Ling Xiao knew that his chance had come. At this time, Dragon Mother was returning to her human form. Since the Frost Pool Python was already dead, he did not need the ancient Imperial Mirror. As long as he kept the Frost Pool Python's corpse, he would be able to obtain the demon Sovereign Sword. The ancient Sovereign Mirror was already in Mother Dragon's hands. She looked at the mirror in her hands excitedly. He listened to the sound of water flowing around him. He laughed disdainfully. What's the use of coming here? The item is already mine. She put the ancient Sovereign Mirror into her storage ring. Naturally, he did not intend to tell anyone. Humans were selfish, and Dragon Mother was no exception. For the sake of Wangua, she naturally wanted as many martial artists as possible to enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum to take risks. Just as the woman was focusing all her attention on the ancient Imperial Mirror, a voice suddenly rang out. Ling Xiao released the water giant, swept up the corpse of the giant python in the cold pool, and threw it into his mountain river world. The demon sovereign sword was taken out, and the corpse of the frost pond giant python would turn into a beast soul. After fusing with the Tian Peng beast's body, the Tian Peng beast's beast soul was upgraded. At that moment, the frost pond giant python disappeared in front of Mother Dragon's eyes. This made Mother Dragon furious. She obtained the ancient Imperial Mirror, and naturally did not want to let go of the frost pond giant python's corpse. After all, this corpse was also very useful, especially the frost pond giant python's demonic beast core, which could be used for many things. Ling Xiao. Mother Dragon finally discovered Ling Xiao, because at this moment, she did not need to focus so much on one thing. And Ling Xiao also exposed himself in order to obtain the frost pond giant python's corpse. But at this moment, Ling Xiao did not care anymore. He already got what he wanted. Why did he have to hide it? Damn guy! This frost pond giant python was deliberately awakened by you, right? Mother Dragon thought of this possibility in an instant. Just now, she found it strange that her actions were so careful. How could she make a mistake? Now the truth was finally out. It was Ling Xiao. It was Ling Xiao, this despicable guy. You're right, but there's no reward. Ling Xiao did not care and laughed. Old woman, don't be too greedy. You already obtained the ancient Imperial Mirror. It's fine if you give this corpse to me. Besides, you're the one who is stupid. Who can you blame? Do you think I'll let you go? Mother Dragon said coldly. There's no god-fiend token owner here to protect you. Even if I want to kill you, you can't do anything. Haha, old woman, there's something wrong with your brain. If I'm afraid that you'll kill me, would I still be here? Would I still show myself? Think about it carefully. What will happen when others find out that you obtained the ancient Imperial Mirror? At this point, Ling Xiao suddenly smiled slyly and shouted with all his strength. Myriad Kingdom Dragon Mother obtained the ancient Imperial Mirror. Just this one sentence made Dragon Mother tremble with anger. Mother Dragon originally wanted to hide this secret, but now Ling Xiao shouted it out. It was probably impossible to hide it anymore. I can also say that you took the ancient imperial mirror. Mother Dragon said coldly. Do you think everyone else is an idiot? The God-fiend token owner once said that whoever obtains the ancient imperial mirror will be given 5 slots. Who doesn't know how to check who has more slots? Do you really think everyone is an idiot? Ling Xiao chuckled and said, someone's here. I have to go. Stop. Mother Dragon instantly released the sea god domain in an attempt to trap Ling Xiao. But it was useless. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao melted into the water and disappeared. The canopy beast's beast soul was too useful in the water. Ling Xiao was really glad that he obtained this beast soul in the past. Otherwise, to be honest, this trip to the cold lake would really be a bit troublesome. Damn it! Mother Dragon gritted her teeth in anger, but there was nothing she could do. In terms of escaping ability, Ling Xiao wasn't bragging. At least in the entire western region, no one was his match. Was I really wrong back then? If I let Koi rope him in to join Myriad Kingdom, perhaps today's situation wouldn't be like this, right? Damn it, what is this Ling Xiao's background? His talent is so terrifying and his ability is so powerful. It's really hard to figure out. Even though Mother Dragon hated Ling Xiao to the core, she had to admit that Ling Xiao's ability was too strong, so strong that it made her jealous. It's time to go. Mother Dragon had already obtained the ancient imperial mirror and didn't plan to continue staying in the cold lake. Bingqing was her stronghold. When she reached Bingqing, she would have more confidence. In an instant, she rushed out hundreds of meters away. A distance of tens of thousands of meters didn't take long at all. She soon arrived outside the cold lake. But the troublesome thing was that there were many other people floating out of the cold lake with her, and even the people outside were staring at her. Chapter 3490. Dragon Mother knew that it must be Ling Xiao's doing that she was being stared at by so many people. The news of her obtaining the ancient Emperor Mirror had probably been leaked. 4 spots, 2 for Mai Wangua, and the other 2 for the Revenge Alliance. Dragon Mother had no choice but to give in. Her actions instantly made Wangua and the Revenge Alliance an alliance. With the 2 of them together, no one else could resist. As for the Soul Palace, they would not fight for these spots. The Heavenly Emperor dynasty already had 2 spots, so they would not risk their lives. Therefore, the original crisis was instantly resolved. However, Dragon Mother still felt uncomfortable in her heart. Originally, there were 4 spots, but now there were only 2 spots. It was a bit depressing. Although the experts among the neutral warriors were unwilling, it was useless. Most of them were lone travelers. Even if they joined forces, they could not work together. They could not compete with the 4 major forces. They could only give up helplessly, so they left one after another. Anyway, they could not go to the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. There were still many other treasures in the immemorial divine tomb that could be unearthed. They might not be unable to make a fortune. After the neutral warriors left one after another, only the people from the 4 major forces were left in the entire Ice City. On the Revenge Alliance's side, there was the Alliance Master, the Sect Masters of the 4 major forces, and the Linglong Saintess. Wangua stood with Dragon Mother and Nkong. The Heavenly Emperor dynasty came with the Heavenly Emperor and King Zhong. King Zhong had taken the elixir given by the god and devil token owner and had recovered. It seemed that the elixir was indeed good. On the Soul Palace's side, there was only Dark Frost. However, Ling Xiao, Long Sha, and Long Chun were all on her side. Everyone, this matter is over. Can we return to the God and Devil City? Dragon Mother was eager to get the spot promised by the God and Devil token owner. Of course. No one was long-winded. Everyone fought so hard for the ancient Emperor Mirror. Wasn't it to open the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum as soon as possible? Although they knew that the god and devil token owner coveted it, everyone felt that they could get the ancient sword Emperor's inheritance and then defeat the god and devil token owner. Therefore, although everyone was a little worried about the god and devil token owners coveting it, they did not take it too seriously. The experts rose into the air. In less than a day, they returned to the divine Devil City. At the entrance of the Devil City, the god and devil token owner had appeared. The experts who followed him also showed up. Not bad. You found the ancient imperial mirror so quickly. The divine devil order master looked at the crowd and nodded with a smile. What about the quota? Mother Dragon asked. Don't worry, I won't forget what I promised. I'll give you 5 spots. As for who you invite, that's up to you. The fiend god token master was very straightforward. Thank you. The stone in Dragon Mother's heart was finally lifted. Okay, let's get down to business. The fiend god order master continued. I believe all of you want to know where the entrance to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum is, right? When everyone heard this, their hearts trembled. Could it be that the owner of this fiend god token actually knows the entrance to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum? Ling Xiao couldn't help but think of the strange door in the world of the dead. The entrance to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum is actually in the world of the dead. However, the door leading to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum will only appear in a month. So you don't have to worry. In this month, try your best to become stronger and go to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum to obtain the inheritance for me. The fiend god order master smiled and said, Don't worry if you give the inheritance to me. I'll give you a generous reward. Although it's not as good as the ancient sword emperor's inheritance, it won't disappoint you. Using the carrot and the stick. This was what it meant. The fiend god order master couldn't enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum himself, so he could only rely on the Western Region warriors. And the Western Region warriors would either take the initiative to give the inheritance to him, or he would snatch it. Anyway, he had that kind of strength. Okay, that's all for today. You don't have to go to the Fiend God City. Go back to your respective strongholds. The Fiend God Order Master waved his hand and turned to leave. At that moment, Ling Xiao discovered something strange. The Fiend God Order Master was actually injured. His Tai Chi, I was definitely not wrong. But the problem was, who in the ancient divine mausoleum could injure such a terrifying existence? One had to know that the Fiend God Order Master's cultivation should be at least at the 9th level of the reincarnation divine realm. Even if all the experts of the Western region joined forces, they would not be his match. This question made Ling Xiao feel incomparably shocked. A faint worry arose in his heart. Could it be that among the enemies he was about to encounter, there was an existence even more terrifying than the Fiend God Order Master? No, obtaining the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance was imperative. Strength, strength, strength. Without strength, it felt like doing anything was not so easy. Everyone, farewell. See you in a month. The Alliance of Vengeance leader cupped his hands and led the members of the Alliance of Vengeance to leave first. A month's time was enough to become much stronger. At that time, the chances of fighting for the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance would be greater. We're leaving too. Dragon Mother glanced coldly at Ling Xiao. She couldn't take revenge now, but after entering the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum, it would be her chance to take revenge. Ling Xiao, remember, I, the Heavenly King, will definitely avenge my son. Don't die. The Heavenly King also shouted coldly and stepped into the air with King Zhong. Let's go back to the Green Zone to prepare. Ling Xiao glanced at the Fiend God City, although he really wanted to see what had happened to the Fiend God Order Master. But after thinking about it, he decided against it. The person who could injure the Fiend God Order Master must be very terrifying. With his current strength, he would simply be courting death. It was better to return to the Green Zone first, cultivate properly, and prepare for the next breakthrough. The day of the final battle would be a month later. The Green Zone was still as peaceful as before. After the battle soul and soul warrior returned to the Green Zone, they had become the strongest in the Green Zone. With them around, there would be no trouble in the Green Zone. With the help of the Wind Soul, they were now worried about Darkfrost and the others who had not returned yet. However, they did not know that a terrifying disaster was brewing in the Green Zone. Two figures appeared outside the Green Zone. One was a man and the other was a woman, but their appearances were a little strange. He kept feeling that there was a wild beast aura on them. I've long heard that the Green Zone is different. It's clearly not a city, but it can become a safe zone. Seeing it today, it's indeed so. It turns out that the Green Zone is actually on the back of a huge tortoise. This old tortoise has probably lived for 10,000 years and has been sleeping all this time. The woman smiled and said, "Brother Zhou Guang, why don't we take this old tortoise? It's not bad as a mount." Of course, Xuelei and Zilin went to the Divine Devil City. Didn't we come here specifically for this old tortoise? It was the ancient Sword Emperor's mount back then. It just fell into a deep sleep later, but it's still very powerful. If we can take it for ourselves, this immemorial divine tomb will be easily swept away by us. Zhou Guang sneered. Chapter 3491. That God-fiend Order Master isn't weak. Blood Thunder and Purple Chilin better not fail miserably. We came to the Archean Divine Tomb this time for two purposes. One is to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance. The other is to kill the Chosen One. The woman continued, "Don't worry, Blue Eye. Blood Thunder and Purple Chilin aren't any weaker than that God-fiend Order Master. The two of them together can definitely suppress that guy. In God-fiend City, only the God-fiend Order Master can compare to us. The others are all trash. What's there to worry about? But what the hell is the Chosen One? I still don't understand this mission. Does Lord Beast Emperor think there's a human who can recreate the human king's achievements?" Cosmic Light said disdainfully, "Hee, don't forget about Yu Xianyue and Ji Furing. They're also the Chosen Ones, and they've made the living beings of the savage beast region suffer so much. The last Beast Emperor was even killed by Ji Furing. How can we, the Beast Emperors, not be afraid? That's why we have to strike first and nip this threat in the bud." Blue Eye smiled. "Since we can't find them, we might as well kill them all." Cosmic Light suddenly said, "Just leave the 18 people who are preparing to enter the ancient Sword Emperor's tomb." Interesting. I like it. Let the old tortoise kill these people. Back then, the ancient Sword Emperor killed many of our warriors. Blue, I said viciously. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up. I know you still have Berserker pills. Cosmic Light Tao. Of course I do. Berserker pills can turn ordinary beasts into demon beasts. They can also make demon beasts more savage and bloodthirsty. However, I have made some changes to this berserk pill. No matter how ferocious these monsters are, they will listen to my command. Blue Eye smiled. Big Brother Cosmic Light, just wait for a good show. As she spoke, Lan Mao took out a pill. The moment the pill was taken out, it tried to escape. Needless to say, it was a pill that already had spirituality. And the pill seemed to want to turn into a fierce beast to resist Blue Eye. Unfortunately, no matter how powerful the pill was, it couldn't resist Blue Eye's abilities. It couldn't escape from her grasp. Good child, listen to me. Don't be like those trash from the western regions, always thinking of challenging the four regions. Lan Mao smiled at the pill in her hand. Then, with a slap, the berserker pill was injected into Old Ghost's body. Wake up, 10,000-year divine turtle. When you were alive, you killed so many of our beast race warriors. Now, I'll let you have a taste of what it feels like to slaughter humans. He wondered what the ancient Sword Emperor was thinking in the underworld. Ha! The woman laughed very crazily, and her eyes revealed an extremely excited expression. To her, this was just a game. The warriors of the western region, who were hunched on Old Tortoise's back, were just game characters who could be killed at any time. There was nothing worthy of sympathy or pity at all. As the berserker pill fused into the Old Tortoise's body, the old tortoise that had been sleeping for close to 10,000 years, Old Tortoise's body had become one with the surrounding environment. He was finally starting to recover. The terrifying roar caused a large-scale earthquake in the surroundings. Everything began to collapse and crack. Old Tortoise's eyes suddenly opened, and they were completely blood-red. His body began to turn scarlet red, and the temperature of the surface of the ground suddenly rose. This old tortoise was originally a demonic beast called the volcanic tortoise. Back then, it was subdued by the ancient Sword Emperor and became his mount, although it had been in a deep sleep for close to 10,000 years. But the moment it woke up, the volcano began to erupt crazily. In the center of the green zone, terrifying magma soared into the sky, and then a rain of fire continued to fall. Everyone was in a mess. Not good. Ling Xiao, who was moving forward, suddenly frowned. His intuition had always been very accurate. It was also because of intuition that it had saved him many times. Therefore, he firmly believed in his intuition. But this time he would rather his intuition be wrong, because in a trance just now, a strange pattern flashed across his mind. The green zone was actually enveloped by a sea of fire. Magma flowed on the ground, and countless people were burned to death. That scene was too ferocious. "What's wrong, Big Brother Ling Xiao?" Darkfrost asked in confusion. Speed up! Speed up! Something happened." Although he was very unwilling to believe his intuition, Ling Xiao still roared loudly. Although she did not understand what happened, seeing Ling Xiao so agitated, Darkfrost also knew that the situation was not good. Therefore, she directly sped up, not hesitating to consume a large amount of vital essence to hurry up. Originally, it would take them a day to travel from God Devil City to the Green Zone, but this time it only took 2 hours. When the few of them arrived at the periphery of the Green Zone, they were all shocked. The Green Zone was actually gone. Where the Green Zone was originally located, there was a huge deep pit like a sinkhole. Surrounding it was the cracked ground. It was as if a huge earthquake had happened, and in that deep pit there was boiling magma flowing continuously. What the hell is going on? Dragon Shark looked at the scene in front of him in shock. He had never seen such a scene before. Damn, it really came true. Ling Xiao cursed and flew straight ahead. Across the sinkhole, they could see a row of huge footprints. It was like the path that a turtle had walked, but it was surprisingly big. After a short while, they saw the original green zone. So this green zone is actually on the back of the volcanic mountain turtle, and that Xuanwu Lake is just a volcanic lake. Now I finally understand why I can always feel the aura of an extremely powerful demonic beast in the green zone. Although it is very faint, it has always been there. So it is this volcanic mountain turtle. Ling Xiao frowned, but he didn't slow down. Right now, he could only hope that the situation in the green zone wasn't too bad. Otherwise, it would really be a heart-wrenching experience. The people of Soul Hull trusted him and Darkfrost so much, and the two fighting spirits had become his life and death brothers. He absolutely could not let them die. Absolutely not. How could this be? Why would a berserk pill appear here? Yuan Venerate suddenly floated out and said in shock as he looked at the volcanic mountain turtle that was wreaking havoc. Berserk pill? Master, do you know something? Ling Xiao asked. Let's not talk about this first. Let's hurry up and save people. The demonic beast under the control of the berserk pill only knows how to kill. Fortunately, the green zone is on its back, so it probably hasn't attacked other than the damage from the volcano, Yuan Venerate said. Yuan Venerate said, All right. Although Ling Xiao had a lot of questions to ask, he also knew that saving people was more important now. Help! Suddenly, a scream was heard from the front. Then Ling Xiao saw a martialist who had jumped off the back of the volcanic mountain turtle get swallowed whole. The huge volcanic mountain turtle's eyes were filled with terrifying, murderous intent. "It's the people of Seoul Hall. Hurry up!" Ming Shuang recognized that person, and she became anxious as well. Chapter 3492. Canopy Beast, Water Giant, extinguish the fire! Ling Xiao stood in the air and saw that there was almost no safe place in the green zone. His heart almost sank to the bottom of the valley. But at this moment, he still desperately tried to extinguish the fire. The huge water giant pounced on the lava. It extinguished a large amount of lava. Me too. The Dragon Shark King was originally from the Sea Clan and was good at water attacks. Together with Ling Xiao, they kept extinguishing the lava. There's someone there. Finally, the flames were extinguished, and a figure could be seen. Ling Xiao was the first to rush over and save that person from the sea of fire. Dark Frost also chased over. "Hall Master, help!" That person's body was partially burned, but fortunately, his life was not in danger. "What the hell is going on?" Dark Frost asked. "We don't know either." The green zone suddenly moved, and the world was constantly shaking. The volcano erupted, and lava flowed everywhere. Many people died. That person cried out in pain. "Where are the others?" This was what Dark Frost was most concerned about. What exactly had happened could be seen at a glance. But where were the people who were still alive? They are still relatively safe for the time being because of the array set up by Ling Xiao to avoid the attack of the flames. But I don't know how long they can hold on. I came out to find help. Fortunately, I bumped into you guys. That person's face was full of joy. "Long Chin, take him to a safe place. Take this pill." Ling Xiao gave that person a healing pill and then instructed. "Understood, boss." Long Chin quickly left with his men. "Let's go and save them." There was only one place where Ling Xiao set up the array, and he believed that the survivors were there. "Okay." Everyone nodded and then headed in that direction. Little Gold was also released and began to devour the lava and flames. As long as it was something with heat, it could devour it to help increase its strength. It was quite useful for extinguishing the fire. Cold Plum also came out to help save people. "Ling Xiao, you better think of a way to extract the berserker pill from this old turtle's body as soon as possible." The Yuan Venerate suddenly said, "If the berserk pill continues to exist, this old tortoise will continue to kill. The entire Archean Divine Tomb would become a purgatory. It can kill as many people as you save. Who the hell is it? How could he have such a pill?" Ling Xiao could not help but ask. "I've been to the Savage Beast region before. There's a beast race there called the Thunder Rhinoceros race. The Thunder Rhino clan had the berserk blood in their bodies. Some doctors use the berserk blood to develop the berserk pill, which allows the savage beasts to have the ability to go berserk." Yuan Venerate explained. "Savage Beast region. Isn't that one of the 4 major regions?" Ling Xiao said in shock. "You're right. I'm afraid that new trouble has come to the immemorial Divine Tomb. Once the Savage Beast region's people got involved in this mess, it'd be a huge problem. Just one God-Fiend token owner is enough of a headache," Yuan Venerate said helplessly. "No wonder I saw the God-Fiend token owner injured. Could he have been beaten up by the Savage Beast region's people?" Ling Xiao felt that this was the most reasonable explanation. "That should be right." The Yuan Venerate nodded. "Oh no, Master. Do you think the Savage Beast region's people are still nearby?" Ling Xiao suddenly became extremely nervous. If the Savage Beast region's people were still nearby, then everything they were doing would be seen by the other party. What exactly were they trying to do? He hurriedly looked around, and his Taiji eye quickly caught sight of 2 terrifying auras. Ling Xiao hurriedly retracted his gaze in fright. "You found them?" The Yuan Venerate asked. Yes, I found them. There are two people whose auras are similar to the God-fiend token owners. Ling Xiao said. This is the worst-case scenario. The Yuan Venerate sighed. If there's really no other way, let me possess the body. My soul is stronger now anyway. It doesn't matter even if I lose some of it. No, Master, if you possess the body, you will lose some of your memories every time. The price is too great. I really can't imagine how bad it would be if you forgot the past. Ling Xiao shook his head. Don't be silly. Once you're dead, you'll have nothing left. Even if you enter the sanguinary rat state, you'll still be alive. Even if you become a tyrant martial soul, you won't be a match for those people. They are too strong. You can't deal with them right now. The Yuan Venerate smiled bitterly. Listen to me. That's right. Let's not talk about this for now, Master. Things haven't reached that stage yet. I don't think those people will take us seriously. Ling Xiao shook his head. At this moment, he could already see the Soul Palace people surrounded by magma. The battle souls, warrior souls, and wind souls were comforting them. Although there were many casualties, at least a lot of them had survived. Boom! Even more terrifying lava spewed out of the volcanic tortoise's body, forcing everyone to avoid it. Although the array formation Ling Xiao had set up had withstood the test again, it was in imminent danger. No, you guys go and save them. I will think of a way to restrain this volcanic tortoise. If it continues to cause trouble, we won't be able to save anyone. Ling Xiao glanced at the volcanic tortoise, which was still going crazy, and said coldly, All right. Dark Frost agreed without hesitation. Saving people was easy. They just had to put out the flames. However, the problem was that the volcanic tortoise would still be in danger if it kept going crazy. Therefore, restraining the volcanic tortoise was the best choice. The berserk pill can allow the volcanic tortoise to remain in a berserk state for at least 3 days and 3 nights. Although it can be consumed, the duration is too long. Given the volcanic tortoise's destructive power, we will all die in 3 days and 3 nights. It hasn't noticed the thing on its back yet. Once it does, the danger will be even greater. The Yuan Venerate reminded him. Then what should we do? Kill this old tortoise? Ling Xiao asked. I'm afraid it's not appropriate to kill it. After all, it used to be the ancient Sword Emperor's mount and made great contributions to the Western region. I have a suggestion. The berserk blood has a terrifying heat, and little gold can swallow it. The berserk pill is refined with the berserk blood as the main ingredient, so it also has a powerful heat. It is very useful for increasing little gold's strength. Let it swallow it. However, you'd better be prepared before it swallows it, just in case. The Yuan Venerate suggested. Dark Frost and the others had already started to think of ways to save people, but the lava that kept gushing out was stronger than anywhere else. They really couldn't get close for the time being. Ling Xiao tried his best not to think about what was going on over there. He focused all his attention on suppressing the volcanic tortoise. The volcanic tortoise's destructive power was too great. Its strength was already very strong, and its destructive power had increased even more due to the berserk pill. Any martialist that came into contact with the boiling lava would either die or be injured. Only a reincarnation divine boundary martialist could resist it. Even a reincarnation divine boundary martialist wouldn't be able to escape death after being attacked by the volcanic tortoise. Ling Xiao had personally witnessed a reincarnation divine boundary zombie king get bitten to death by the volcanic tortoise. Chapter 3493. The tortoise's combat power was terrifying. A first-stage reincarnation divine realm zombie king was easily killed by it. Facing such a colossus, they didn't know how to deal with it. Interesting. Did you notice? One is a descendant of the dragon race, and the other is a golden devouring crow. I didn't expect the archaic divine tomb to have such a wondrous item. Lan Mao and Zhou Guang didn't leave. Watching the tortoise wreak havoc, they entered into a spectator mode. Seeing the Western region cultivators being killed and burned to death, their faces were filled with smug smiles. In front of them, humans were aliens. It didn't matter if they were killed. Then they noticed Long Chen and Little Gold. Long Chen had transformed into a dragon and was devouring flames. Little Gold was a golden devouring crow, so it could devour even more. Their outstanding performance naturally attracted the attention of the beasts. In the eyes of the beasts, they were the same kind. Didn't the dragon race go extinct long ago? How come there's still one? As for the golden devouring crow, isn't it a thing of legend? How did it become real? Zhou Guang was stunned. The culture of the beasts wasn't any worse than that of humans. They naturally remembered the past of the beasts very clearly. Moreover, the archaic war was a war between humans and beasts. The beasts were led by the dragon race, while the humans were led by the human king. Later, the human king ruled the world and created a situation where all races coexisted. Most of the beasts also accepted the situation of living together with the humans. However, after the sacred dynasty weakened, the conflict became more prominent. The war between humans and beasts erupted again. The beasts of the savage beast region had always hoped to find a descendant of the dragon race. Only then would they be able to unite the savage beast realm. The dragon race was the king of all beasts. As for the golden devouring crow, it was also a powerful existence in the legends. It wasn't inferior to the dragon race's beasts. It was rumored that the golden devouring crow only appeared once in the archaic era, and it caused great losses to the humans. Fortunately, the human king was strong and fought the golden devouring crow for 9 days and 9 nights to win. To the beast race, this was another symbol as well. Now, both of them had appeared here. But why are they so weak? Zhou Guang frowned. What's so strange about that? Even if you're a dragon, you can't cultivate that fast in that crappy place. Furthermore, both of them were at the second level of the reincarnation divine realm. In the Western region, he was considered an invincible existence. If he could bring him back to the savage beast realm, it wouldn't take long for him to dominate the savage beast realm. At that time, the entire 4 regions will belong to us beasts. Lan Mao's eyes flashed with excitement. Let's wait and see. After all, there is a type of beast soul cultivator in the Western regions. It would be embarrassing if I made a mistake. Although Cosmic Light was also very excited, he was still calmer than Blue Eye. All right, let's wait and see. We have plenty of time anyway. I just don't know if they can survive, Lan Mao said. If you can't even survive this, then don't bring him back to the savage beast region. You'll only embarrass yourself. Time light path. That's true. As he spoke, Xiao Jin grew in the wind, and his body became incomparably huge. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and a large amount of heat energy entered his body. Then Ling Xiao jumped on his body and rushed towards the location of the Berserker Pill. As for Long Qin, he transformed into a huge dragon to help Dark Frost and the others save people. In the volcanic mountain tortoise's berserk state, he could only save 1 or 2 people at a time. It was a bit troublesome, but that was all they could do. Devouring the golden crow. It shouldn't be wrong. He can actually devour such terrifying heat energy with a single breath. It's basically impossible to see such a beast in the savage beast region. Big Brother Cosmic Light, don't hesitate. Let's do it, Lan Mao said. And that dragon can't be wrong either. He's definitely not a beast soul cultivator. He's a real dragon. Look at how he's standing on the boiling lava without any injuries. You can see how strong his body is. If we capture him, he'll be able to command the entire savage beast region. Then we'll really be rich. Cosmic Light's eyes also flashed with excitement. Lan Mao was right. Whether it was devouring the golden crow or a dragon descendant, it shouldn't be wrong. Boss, I feel like we're being watched. Xiao Jin suddenly said. I know. It should be those two beasts from the savage beast region. Damn it. Do we have no choice but to use Master's power? Ling Xiao was very unwilling. At this moment, he could clearly feel the greed of the two beasts towards Xiao Jin and Long Qin. This kind of greed was exactly the same as the greed that Prince Tian had revealed before, but it was even stronger. Volcanic mountain tortoise, oh volcanic mountain tortoise. I hope you can help me today. Ling Xiao looked at the volcanic mountain tortoise beneath his feet. As long as he could get rid of the berserker pill, he believed the volcanic mountain tortoise would have no problem stopping those two beasts. The volcanic mountain tortoise was definitely stronger than those two beasts. Given the current situation, he could only take a gamble. Otherwise, even if he used all his cards, he wouldn't be a match for those two beasts. Good fellow. His reaction is sharp. He seems to have sensed our presence. Lan Mao smiled. So what if he sensed us? In the archaic divine tomb, aside from the archaic divine order master, no one is a match for us. Zhou Guang sneered. The four realms aren't something they can imagine. Should we attack? Lan Mao asked. What's the rush? Don't you think it's amusing to watch these pitiful creatures struggle to survive? Lan Mao smiled. Lan Mao was helpless. Her big brother Zhou Guang just loved to play. But when she thought about it carefully, there was nothing to worry about. Was there a need to worry about a group of ants turning the tables? Found it. Ling Xiao locked onto the berserker pill's location. If they could succeed today, it would all depend on this gamble. Oh no, they seem to want to get rid of the berserker pill. Lan Mao finally realized something was amiss. Just them? Zhou Guang didn't believe it. But as they spoke, Ling Xiao had already burrowed into the volcanic mountain tortoise's body. The volcano on the tortoise's back was connected to its body. With the lava Cerberus beast soul transformation, there was no need to worry about being injured by the lava. It's you, berserker pill. After entering the volcanic mountain tortoise's body, Ling Xiao sneered and waved Ice Age. He directly slashed down and cut the berserker pill out of the volcanic mountain tortoise's body. Although this slash would cause the volcanic mountain tortoise extreme pain, it was better than being controlled by the berserker pill and becoming someone else's puppet. Roar! Ling Xiao could hear the volcanic mountain tortoise's miserable cries. He put away the berserker pill and then released the immemorial nature dragon's healing aura to heal the volcanic mountain tortoise's injuries. Chapter 3494. Kid, are you the one who saved me? Ling Xiao finished treating the volcanic mountain tortoise and was about to leave. Suddenly he saw a shadow appear. The shadow flashed with a faint blue light as if it was a soul. Ling Xiao guessed that it was most likely the volcanic mountain tortoise's soul. You can say that. Ling Xiao said, You have my master's aura on you. No wonder. The volcanic mountain tortoise noticed the ancient sword emperor's aura on Ling Xiao and became even more respectful. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. He believed that the volcanic mountain tortoise's soul didn't appear to talk nonsense. To thank you for saving my life, I'll do my best to protect you while we're in the Archean Divine Tomb. Oh no, the enemy is here. Let's not talk for now. Prepare for battle. The volcanic mountain tortoise's soul suddenly disappeared. Then, Ling Xiao felt a terrifying tremor. It lasted for more than 10 minutes before it finally stopped. Ling Xiao was worried about Xiao Jin and the other's safety, so he flew out of the volcano. In the end, he discovered that 2 savage beast clan martial artists were fleeing. The volcanic mountain tortoise is indeed powerful. Looks like I made the right bet. Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Those 2 savage beast region beasts were really terrifying. Perhaps only the volcanic mountain tortoise could deal with them. Big brother Ling Xiao, what happened? Who were those 2 just now? Why did the volcanic mountain tortoise suddenly stop going berserk? Dark Frost flew over with a belly full of questions. Ling Xiao explained briefly, then hurriedly asked, "How are the people of the Soul Hall? Are they all safe?" "They're fine. Although some people died, not many." "Why are the savage beast region beasts here?" Ming Shuang furrowed her brows. "Don't worry, girl. The volcanic mountain tortoise has awakened and won't be controlled by them anymore. It promised to protect us while we're in the Archean divine tomb. Let's go." Let the volcanic mountain tortoise head straight for the divine devil city. The ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum is there anyway. It's easier to prepare when we're close. Ling Xiao sighed. Although they couldn't save them, this was the best outcome. Otherwise, all of them would have died. "Little Gold, I'll give you the berserk pill. This time, don't swallow it in the beast ring. Just enter my mountain river world. Once we're there, even if anything happens, I'll be able to handle it." Ling Xiao gave the berserk pill to Xiao Jin. "Got it, boss." Xiao Jin took the berserk pill and directly entered the mountain river world. This berserker pill could even affect a 9th level reincarnation divine, realm demonic beast, like the fire mountain tortoise. After Little Gold devoured it, its strength would probably increase tremendously this time. It's all thanks to Big Brother Ling Xiao's formation. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Dark Frost was a little depressed, but she was also a little relieved. That's right. If it wasn't for that array, the entire Soul Palace would have been engulfed by the magma. I reckon that not many people would have survived. The neutral martial artists in the green zone were basically all dead. How pitiful. Do Hun also walked over and said. All of them looked at Ling Xiao with reverence. The fire mountain tortoise had already started moving. The people who were saved earlier had all returned to the tortoise's back. This place was huge to begin with. It wasn't a problem for all the martial artists of the Soul Palace to stay. In addition, the fire mountain tortoise had already awakened. Even the experts of the savage beast region couldn't do anything to it. Moreover, the demonic beasts of the archaic divine tomb were even less of a match for the fire mountain tortoise. The fire mountain tortoise had already walked far away when the two injured beasts appeared again. At this time, they no longer had their previous arrogance. Instead, it was replaced by anger and hatred. Damn it, that brat actually ruined our good business. I didn't expect the ancient Sword Emperor's mount to be so terrifying. When we used the berserk pill to control it, it was lucky that it was asleep. Otherwise, both of us would have been in danger. Lan Mao stared fiercely at Ling Xiao on the fire mountain tortoise. She gritted her teeth and said, "Also, that bastard seems to treat the devouring golden crow as his mount." The dragon descendant also bowed down to him. "Who is that guy?" "He's just a human liar," Cosmic Light said coldly. "Didn't we hear about this in our beast stories? Humans are experts at lying. They can trick beasts into doing things for them." "Then what do? Do we use blood lightning and purple qilin? Let's work together to destroy the fire mountain tortoise." Lan Mao was furious. She only wanted to kill Ling Xiao to vent her hatred. "We can't kill him." Cosmic Light shook his head. "Why not?" Lan Mao asked. "First, if the four of us work together to deal with the fire mountain tortoise, the Fiend God Medallion Master will definitely make a move. Don't underestimate that guy. Second, when I got close, I sensed the ancient Sword Emperor's aura on that youth." Cosmic Light explained. "The ancient Sword Emperor's aura? You're saying he might have obtained the ancient Sword Emperor's legacy?" Lan Mao asked. "That's right. Don't forget why we came to the archaic divine tomb. The most important thing is to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's legacy. Everything else can wait." Cosmic Light nodded. "Damn it. If it weren't for the ancient Sword Emperor's restriction, only Western region martial artists could enter the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum. Why would we be so passive? It's so depressing." Although Lan Mao was very unhappy, She had to admit that Cosmic Light's words made sense. If that youth could really obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's legacy, then it would be very stupid of them to kill that youth now. Don't worry, Lan Mao. Don't forget that we still have 4 companions on the way. The Beast Emperor has put in a lot of effort for this matter. If it weren't for the fact that the archaic divine tomb weakened reincarnation divine pulse martial artists, the Beast Emperor would have even sent divine pulse martial artists here. Then there's nothing for us to do. We can only make a great contribution now. Cosmic Light Dao. Okay, I'll listen to you, Big Brother Cosmic Light. Lan Mao took a deep breath and finally calmed down. No matter what that youth did, when he obtained the ancient Sword Emperor's legacy, it would be his death. By the way, Lan Mao, didn't you notice another person? Cosmic Light suddenly said. Another person? Who? Lan Mao was a little puzzled. She was more concerned about the Dragon Clan descendant and the devouring Golden Crow. She didn't care about the rest at all. That woman, the woman with a short sword. Cosmic Light reminded. Oh, that woman. Is there anything special about her? Lan Mao suddenly smiled and said, Big Brother Cosmic Light, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to a human woman. Stupid. How could I, a noble beast, take a fancy to a lowly human? It's just that that woman has some strange aura. I can't describe it, but it's very terrifying. Cosmic Light suddenly trembled when he said this. No way, Big Brother Cosmic Light. That woman, the woman called Cold Plum? Why didn't I notice? Lan Mao still didn't believe it. The next time you see her, take a closer look. I believe your eyes won't be wrong. Cosmic Light wouldn't doubt his intuition. Chapter 3495. Zhou Guang had a feeling that the woman called Cold Plum was even scarier than the descendant of the Dragon Clan and the devouring Golden Crow. However, he couldn't tell exactly what it was. All right, there's nothing else to do here. Let's go to the Divine Devil City. The volcanic tortoise seems to be heading towards the Divine Devil City. The ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum is probably near the Divine Devil City. Zhou Guang sneered and turned into a huge white tiger. The blue eyes smiled and turned into a slender viper. This was their true form. As beasts, they preferred to move around in their true forms. The volcanic tortoise was huge. Although it was fast, it couldn't fly as fast as a powerhouse. It would take 7 to 8 days to reach the Divine Devil City. Therefore, Ling Xiao didn't waste any time. On the volcanic tortoise's back, he began to think about the 9 supreme sword techniques. The Big Dipper sword and meteoric metal could be cultivated into the 7-star sky falling sword technique. The Myriad Kingdom sword and Sea Soul jade could be cultivated into the Myriad Kingdom Sea sword technique. Because he was eager to know the effects of cultivating the 6 sword techniques, he randomly chose one to cultivate. He held the Big Dipper sword and meteoric metal in his hands at the same time. As he comprehended the sword techniques, the 2 things began to merge. This wasn't the first time he had done this. The cultivation process was basically the same. Therefore, he didn't use it for long this time. However, the moment he finished cultivating the 7-star sky falling sword technique, something strange happened. The other 5 swords that had been cultivated flew out. They stood side by side with the Big Dipper sword. Then, a brand new memory quickly merged into Ling Xiao's mind. I see. Ling Xiao opened his eyes, his heart filled with excitement. After cultivating the 6 sword techniques, not only did each sword technique advance from beginner to intermediate king level, but each sword technique had also advanced from beginner to intermediate king level. Even the 9 sovereigns' swords had been upgraded from fine grade to precious grade. They had advanced by a level. Even the Myriad Kingdom sword and Demon Sovereign sword that hadn't been cultivated were the same. However, there was a problem now. After all the sword techniques had advanced, the difficulty of cultivating the remaining 4 sword techniques had increased. In addition to the original requirements, The martial artist cultivation had to be at least at the 9th level of the reincarnation divine realm. It seems that in this world, there are always gains and losses. Ling Xiao sighed, but he was still happy in his heart. Since it was difficult to cultivate, it meant that it was of a higher grade. The 6 sword techniques he had now were actually enough for him to use. After all, the combined power of the 2 swords could reach the level of a high-grade king martial technique. 4 swords combined into 1 would be at the peak of the king level. Ling Xiao tested the 5 swords as one. He could not use it at all. He did not have enough true essence. Ling Xiao knew that his cultivation was holding him back. Now that the 5 swords had merged into one, it was no longer as simple as a king-grade martial skill. If he wanted to use it, he would have to raise his cultivation to a very high level. Thinking of this, he took out the beast souls that he had obtained earlier and began to upgrade his own beast souls. For types of 9th level reincarnation, divine realm beast souls, 1 was the beast soul of the frost pool python. The first 4 were used to upgrade the beast souls of the cosmic light tiger, shadow rabbit, frost dragon, and 9 snake general. The cosmic light tiger allowed him to have the cosmic light body and maximize his speed. It was useful for both battle and escape. The shadow rabbit could have the special effect of the shadow warrior. It was very useful. The frost dragon had the frost dragon breath. Together with the extreme frost domain, the effect could be maximized. The 9 snake general beast soul could increase the power of the 9 snake poison domain. As for the frost pool python beast soul, it was used to upgrade the canopy beast soul. After the incident at the frost pool, Ling Xiao understood. The canopy beast soul might not be of much use normally, but once it entered the water, it would be extremely useful. It took a total of 7 days to travel from the original location of the green zone to the outskirts of the God-Fiend city. In these 7 days, Ling Xiao had upgraded all 5 types of beast souls. The benefit he gained was that his cultivation had finally advanced from the 1st level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm to the 2nd level of the Reincarnation Sutra. From now on, he dared to say that there were no more enemies in the entire Western region. Even Dragon Mother and the leader of the Vengeful Alliance were no match for him. Of course, this was not something to be happy about. After all, his biggest enemy now was the God-Fiend Token Master and the mysterious savage beasts. At this moment, the savage beasts he mentioned were standing not far away from the volcanic mountain tortoise. There were originally 2 people, but now there were 8, other than the cosmic light tiger, Blue Eye, Purple Cheelin, and Blood Thunder, who had arrived at the beginning. There were 4 more. It seemed that they would not be easy to deal with. They're finally here. Lan Mao glared fiercely at the volcanic mountain tortoise in the distance. Even now, her anger had yet to subside. After all, she had suffered at the hands of the humans she looked down on. This made her furious. Yes, they're here. But speaking of which, the laws of the Western region are really loose. Whether it's the sky or the ground, they all seem so fragile. A light touch and they'll rot. If this were in the 4 regions, even if we attacked with all our might, there would only be a slight crack on the ground. Cosmic Light Tiger said indifferently. This was because he saw huge cracks on the ground wherever the volcanic tortoise kingdom passed by. It was as fragile as tofu that was cut open. What are you talking about? Although we both belong to the Black Tortoise continent, the 4 regions and the Western region are completely controlled by 2 different laws. The humans of the 4 regions are the real humans. The humans of the Western region are all eliminated trash. Purple Cheelin laughed. But don't underestimate a place like the Western region. The ancient Sword Emperor back then made us suffer. Blood, Thunder reminded. How many years has it been? There's only one ancient Sword Emperor. I don't believe that there will be a second one in the Western region. Purple Cheelin sneered. Besides, so what if it's the ancient Sword Emperor? He's just a divine pulse realm martial artist. He's just a little stronger than us. But don't forget Ji Fuling and Yu Xianyue. Those two came from the barren sky dragon continent, but they can kill our beast emperor. Blood Thunder reminded again, underestimating the enemy will make us pay a heavy price. Don't argue. Is the divine demon order master done? Did he promise not to inform the other 3 regions? Cosmic Light suddenly said, Don't worry about that. Although that guy is powerful, he's no match for us. He's very obedient now. Originally, I said that we should just kill him. Why go through so much trouble? Purple Qilin said unhappily. Kill him? You can try. If you kill him, none of us will live. The Divine Demon Order Master was sent by the 4 regions to guard the Divine Demon City. It's already disrespectful for us to attack him. If we kill him, not to mention us, even the Savage Beast region will be implicated. Blood Thunder said coldly, Don't be so impulsive. Use your brain. Chapter 3496. Tisk got it. Z Lin wasn't happy, but this was reality. The people from the Savage Beast region had come here stealthily and hadn't dared alert anyone. Otherwise, the things in the ancient Sword Imperial tomb wouldn't belong to them. Actually, there's no need to worry. The Demon God token is mainly the inheritance of the ancient Sword Emperor. What we want is something in the ancient Sword Imperial tomb. We each take what we need and no one will affect anyone else. Zhou Guang said faintly. Ling Xiao hadn't sensed the existence of these 8 beasts. Firstly, they were far away, and secondly, they had restrained their auras and weren't as impudent as before. The Yuan Venerate had passed through the 4 great domains before. He had also told Ling Xiao some things about the 4 great domains. In the 4 great domains, Reincarnation Divine Boundary Martialists were probably the foundation. Reincarnation Divine Pulse Martialists were probably as numerous as the hairs on a cow. His previous knowledge could be described as a frog at the bottom of a well. Thinking back, he had actually killed a martialist from the Eternal Life Palace and chased another one away. Thinking back now, he found it unbelievable. What exactly was that demon in his body? He could sense that it didn't have any ill intentions towards him. It should be something derived from the tyrannical sky martial soul. Or perhaps it was the essence of the tyrannical sky martial soul. It would be great if he could control it freely. In that case, wouldn't he be able to do as he pleased in the 4 great domains? However, that was just a thought. He was still a long way from reaching the divine pulse realm. He had only cultivated to the 2nd level of the reincarnation divine boundary after much effort. He didn't know when he would reach the average level of the 4 great domains. However, even if he improved his cultivation, he still couldn't achieve the 5 swords merge. It still wasn't enough. However, the energy in his cultivation, had already returned to 0. It was almost impossible to break through immediately. Therefore, he planned to do something else. Master Prince Zhong said that martial souls can be cultivated from Hotian to Xiantian in the 4 great domains. Do you know what's going on? Ling Xiao asked. I know a little about this. The highest realm of a martial soul is the man and spirit merge perfectly. At that time, a martialist control over the power of a martial soul would be at its most perfect. However, there are still many stages to achieve the man and spirit merge. In the 4 major districts, there was a way to cultivate an acquired martial soul to an innate martial soul. To be honest, if you were to meet a martial artist of the same cultivation level as you are now, your chances of winning would be slim, even if you can defeat an enemy 2 ranks higher than you in the western regions. However, in the 4 major regions, even cultivators of the same cultivation level were no match for them. The reason was that the martial soul's cultivation speed was not high enough. However, I don't have much interest in those backward cultivation methods. I just happened to get a cultivation book. It will allow you to cultivate your martial spirit to the Hotian 9th stage. Did you know that Prince Zhong's martial spirit had only cultivated to the Hotian first stage, but he was able to achieve a telepathic connection with his weapon? If you cultivate to the Hotian ninth stage, then any weapon in your hand can be used freely in an instant. Also, the secret of your ice age should be easily solved. After saying that, the Yuan Venerate transmitted a memory to Ling Xiao. So that's how it is. The people of the 4 great regions can actually cultivate their martial spirits this way. Cultivate your martial soul as a martial artist. This seems very simple, but it's a bit troublesome to actually cultivate it. If you don't control your martial soul well, it will hurt your martial soul and even destroy it. Ling Xiao absorbed that memory and muttered to himself, "However, I have cultivated the primordial spirit remnant scroll before." The method of cultivating the soul inside can be used to cultivate the martial soul. It can even let the martial soul come out of its shell. It feels like the martial soul is another form of soul. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao no longer hesitated. Using the cultivation method in the primordial spirit remnant scroll, he began to strengthen his martial soul. At first, he didn't dare to directly try using the Tyrant martial soul. After all, the Tyrant martial soul was too important to him. If there was a problem, his entire martial artist career would be in trouble. Clang! A sword martial soul broke through the sky. This sword martial soul was obtained in the western regions. With it, Ling Xiao could no longer be restricted by the strength of his weapon. However, just this effect alone made Ling Xiao feel that the sword martial soul was a bit too weak. It wasn't until he heard what Prince Zhong said that he understood. It turned out that the sword martial soul could be cultivated. When it was cultivated to a powerful level, it could even merge the weapon with the body. This kind of thing was similar to the beast warrior. It seemed to be very common in the 4 regions. After releasing the sword martial soul, he began to cultivate, using the cultivation method of the primordial spirit remnant scroll. He was completely immersed in it. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 days passed. The 1-month deadline was approaching. On the 29th day, suddenly, Ling Xiao opened his eyes. The sword martial soul behind him seemed to have condensed into a material object, looking like a shining sword. In this sword there was a terrifying power. This power was definitely not something that the sword warriors of the western regions could possess. Nearly a month's time was not in vain. This sword martial soul has been cultivated to the first stage of the Hotian realm. However, this process was really difficult. It seems that the cultivation of the primordial spirit remnant scroll and the martial soul seemed to be similar. Ling Xiao smiled. He even suspected that the cultivation method of the martial soul in the mystic world was learned from the primordial spirit remnant scroll. He did not know how powerful the martial souls of the 4 regions could be cultivated to. However, the beginning was really difficult. The first stage of the Hotian sword martial soul could increase the attack power of sword-type weapons by nearly 3 times. This kind of advantage was really too great in the western regions. However, when it came to the 4 regions where everyone cultivated the martial soul, there might not be such an advantage. However, being able to make up for the disadvantage was itself a kind of advantage. Xiao Jin still had not woken up. The effect of the berserker pill was really crazy. Fortunately, there were no accidents. This made Ling Xiao quite satisfied. He was really looking forward to how much Xiao Jin's strength would increase after coming out this time. Perhaps it would be stronger than him. No, it should be stronger than him. If the heat from the berserker pill was not as strong as him, then it would be a bit unreasonable. This kind of strength was the key to his confrontation with the god-devil token owner and the beast race from the savage beast realm. I can come out now. Dark Frost and the others are probably waiting for me. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao stood up and walked out of his room. These days, the new green zone was very peaceful. Because of the volcanic tortoise, even the god-devil token owner did not dare to cause trouble. Needless to say, the people of the blood axe snake race did not need to be mentioned. They still hated Ling Xiao in their hearts. However, as long as Ling Xiao did not leave the volcanic tortoise, they did not dare to make a move. Moreover, the ancient sword imperial mausoleum was about to open. They did not dare to spoil the god-devil token owner's good fortune. Because of this, it was very peaceful during this period. Chapter 3497. Ling Xiao, Dark Frost, Ling Xiao, Xiao Jin, and Cold Plum. These 5 people had obtained spots in the God-Devil Invitational Tournament. Dragon Shark King, Warrior Soul, Battle Soul, Wind Soul, and a neutral warrior at the 2nd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm, Morongda. They were lucky enough to be on the invitation list. These were also the 5 extra spots. Although Morongda was a neutral warrior, he had already joined the Soul Hall, and in the past month, Dark Frost had also conducted many tests and investigations on him. She confirmed that there was no problem with this person and that he just wanted to join the Soul Hall to obtain a spot to enter the ancient sword imperial mausoleum. I only have one sentence. As long as you work for the Soul Hall will not treat you unfairly. If you have ulterior motives, don't blame us. Ling Xiao glanced at Morongda, although he was still very optimistic about Dark Frost's judgment. However, there were some things that had to be said. Morongda was forced by Ling Xiao's aura and almost knelt on the ground. What's going on? He was shocked. He had long heard that the Soul Hall had an extremely powerful guest elder. He knew that even King Zhong had been defeated. However, Morongda was still very shocked to be intimidated by Ling Xiao's aura. This person is unfathomable, Morongda thought to himself, and he definitely had the ability to kill him easily. Wasn't betraying in front of such a person courting death? All right, if there's nothing else, let's go. Ling Xiao called out, Grandpa Turtle, I'll leave this place to you. Don't worry, kid. You should be careful of those guys. They might attack you at any time. Volcano Turtle reminded. I got it. Actually, Ling Xiao wasn't worried about himself. He was more worried about Ling Xiao and Xiao Jin. From the previous battle, he had sensed that Long Chun and Xiao Jin had been targeted by those beasts. He didn't need to think to know the specific reason. A devouring golden crow. A descendant of the dragon race. There were probably only 2 of them in the entire mystic world. How could they not want to take them for themselves? However, if you want to snatch my brother, you have to be prepared to pay a heavy price. Prince Tian is an example. Ling Xiao sneered and soared into the sky. Because they were near the Divine Devil City, they were the first group of people to arrive at the Divine Devil City. Just as he arrived at the entrance, Ling Xiao met Blood Axe Snake Clan's Shi Xiaozong. Ling Xiao was no match for Shi Xiaozong, who was at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm in the past. But today, in Ling Xiao's eyes, Shi Xiaozong was just SOSO. A good dog doesn't block the way. What are you doing? Ling Xiao coldly looked at Shi Xiaozong and the other warriors of the Blood Axe Snake Clan, his face cold. Humph. The Fiend God Token Master is currently recuperating and can't take care of you. Today, I will avenge the dead Blood Axe Serpent Clan's martial artists. Shi Xiaozong snorted coldly. I advise you not to act recklessly. Otherwise, the result will definitely not be what you want. The reason why Ling Xiao had killed the Blood Axe Snake Clan was because he had no other choice. Since nothing had happened today, he didn't want to make a move. But if Shi Xiaozong didn't know what was good for him, he wouldn't be polite. Nonsense. Do you dare to fight me alone? Shi Xiaozong shouted sternly. Why wouldn't I dare? Ling Xiao sneered. This is good too. If I defeat you, I will let the Blood Axe Snake Clan know that I am not so easy to provoke. Big brother Ling Xiao, why don't you let me do it? Dark Frost couldn't help but ask. In this month, her cultivation had also broken through 1 level. In the western region, the top warriors could only break through to the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. But the environment of the immemorial Divine Tomb was special, and the spirit chi was more abundant. The chances of breaking through were higher and faster. She was worried that Ling Xiao wouldn't be Shi Xiaozong's opponent, so she took the initiative to ask, "Don't worry, girl. I didn't waste this month." Ling Xiao smiled at Dark Frost and walked out of the array. "You guys watch from the side," Shi Xiaozong ordered his subordinates. Then he walked out. The two confronted each other at the entrance of the divine Devil City. "Aren't you going to transform?" Shi Xiaozong waited for a moment and realized that Ling Xiao didn't intend to use the beast soul transformation, so he couldn't help but ask. "You are an honest person, but it's a pity that you have a sister who is courting death. I don't need the beast soul transformation to deal with you. Just go ahead and attack." Ling Xiao hooked his finger. "You are not allowed to insult my sister." Although he knew what his sister was like in the divine Devil City, she was still his sister. Shi Xiaozong absolutely couldn't tolerate anyone insulting his sister in front of him. His figure trembled, and Shi Xiaozong had already charged towards Ling Xiao. Blood axe heaven splitting slash. In Shi Xiaozong's hand there was a blood-red axe that was particularly eye-catching. When he brandished it, the huge and sharp aura was incomparably terrifying. It was as if it was going to cut Ling Xiao in half. King-level martial technique? Not enough. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and the Fire Supreme sword pierced through the air. Fire Supreme sword, art, blazing sky. Raging flames tumbled, and blazing heat spewed out. The Fire Supreme sword shattered the giant axe that was condensed from true origin energy. Shi Xiaozong's expression didn't change, and he made another move. Blood axe heaven splitting slash. The power of this move was obviously more ferocious than the previous one, and its power was also more violent. As a result, Shi Xiaozong's aura became much more violent. High King level martial skill? Still not enough. Ling Xiao smiled coldly, and the Ice Supreme sword pierced through the air. Fire Supreme sword, art, blazing sky. Ice Supreme sword, art, blazing sky. Both swords struck out. In the past, the combination of the two swords was only a king-level martial technique. However, today's joint attack already had the power of a high-grade king martial skill. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. Shi Xiaozong was actually pushed back a few meters, and his face was extremely gloomy. How could this be? He couldn't believe that this was real. His cultivation was clearly much stronger than Ling Xiao's, so how could it be like this? Don't be so surprised. Your cultivation hasn't improved at all in this month. But I broke through to the second level of the reincarnation divine realm. You no longer have any advantage over me, and my martial technique is even stronger than yours. 3 swords in one. Fire Supreme, Ice Supreme, Soul Elder. Ling Xiao didn't plan to waste too much time, and after the 2 swords, it was 3 swords. The unstoppable sword aura rushed over, even though Shi Xiaozong was already trying his best to block it. But he was still sent flying a few hundred meters away and fell to the ground, covered in blood. I won't kill you today, because you have deep feelings for your sister. But there won't be a second time. If I encounter this again, I'll kill you without mercy. And all of you, remember what I said, if something like this happens again, the Blood Axe Snake clan won't exist anymore. After speaking, Ling Xiao directly entered the God Devil City. The rest of the people followed behind him. Shi Xiaozong laid there with an ugly expression. He had painstakingly cultivated for so many years, but he was actually inferior to a nobody in the western region. Lamentable! Lamentable! Suddenly, a blood arrow flew, and Shi Xiaozong fell to the ground. Young master! No one would have thought that Shi Xiaozong's psychological quality was so bad that he actually chose to commit suicide. Chapter 3498. I didn't expect Big Brother Ling Xiao to become so powerful now. However, you still have to be careful when you enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum this time. Heavenly King and Dragon Mother will probably kill you. The others may not be so determined, but once they have the chance, they probably won't let it go. Dark Frost reminded him. Even though Ling Xiao had defeated Shi Xiaozong easily before, but Shi Xiaozong was still lacking compared to veteran experts like Dragon Mother and Heavenly King. It doesn't matter. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "The warriors of the Western region are no longer in my consideration. What I'm most worried about now is what will happen after I obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance. Whether it's the Fiend God Order Master or the wild beasts, they are all great threats." His strong confidence came from Ling Xiao's own strength. However, he would never be arrogant. He knew how big the gap between him and the Fiend God Order Master was. After entering the Fiend God City, everyone headed towards the world of the dead. Since they already knew where the entrance to the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum was, there was no need to waste time. They thought that they had arrived early enough and should be the first group, who knew that when they arrived, they would find that Heavenly King, King Zhong, Dragon Mother, and Ankong had already arrived. Only the people from the Revenge Alliance hadn't arrived yet. These people were really anxious. A moment later, the people from the Revenge Alliance also arrived. One of them was the leader of the Revenge Alliance, and the other was the Linglong Saintess. The two subordinates of the Fiend God Order Master also arrived. These two people clearly felt different from when they entered the world of the dead. It was as if there was an intense pain coming from their bodies. However, there were also a few terrifying powers that could erupt at any time. This extremely contradictory feeling made Ling Xiao frown. As expected, the people of the four regions didn't treat the people of the Western region as humans at all and casually modified their bodies. They didn't care about their lives. At this moment, all 18 people had gathered. Heavenly King and Dragon Mother stared at Ling Xiao, wishing they could tear Ling Xiao into pieces. However, they didn't plan to do anything outside the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. Once inside the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum, they didn't have to care about the Fiend God Order Master. He would definitely kill Ling Xiao. Everyone's here, but where's the Divine Devil Order Master? Did he forget that today is the day the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum opens? Ling Xiao completely ignored the gazes of those two people. He said in a relaxed manner, "It's not time yet." The Linglong Saintess looked at the sky and said, "There is still half an hour before tomorrow. Let's wait then." Ling Xiao smiled and sat down cross-legged in the void. To him, such a small matter was naturally not a problem. "Master, I feel like someone is watching us." Cold Plum suddenly transmitted her voice. At this moment, she was still cultivating in the mountain river world, just like Xiao Jin. "There's no need to worry. The ones targeting us should be from the savage beast race. Before we obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance, they won't make a move. These people either have their eyes on the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance or something in the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum." Ling Xiao smiled. "That's good." Cold Plum didn't say anything else. At this moment, a terrifying murderous aura suddenly came from afar. "It's the Blood Axe Snake Clan." Everyone looked over in surprise. At this moment, the clan leader of the Blood Axe Snake Clan, Shifeng, was holding his son's corpse in his arms. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die. "Ling Xiao, you bastard. You killed my daughter, and now you want to kill my son. I will never forgive you. Today, no matter who it is, don't even think about stopping me from taking revenge." Shifeng only had one son and one daughter, and now they were both dead. They were all killed by Ling Xiao. He no longer had the motivation to live. Even if he had to offend the Divine Devil Order Master, he had to kill Ling Xiao. "How did young ancestor Shi die? I didn't kill him." Ling Xiao frowned and said, "He was forced to death by you." Shifeng roared. "So he committed suicide. What a pity. His mentality is too weak. Although the dead should be respected, and I shouldn't make sarcastic remarks, Young ancestor, she blocked my way and wanted to kill me. I only defeated him. I didn't mean to kill him. Isn't it a bit too much to put this on my head? Ling Xiao looked at Shifeng. He wasn't afraid of trouble, but he didn't want to admit that it wasn't his fault. At this moment, Heavenly King and Dragon Mother were waiting to watch a good show. They didn't care whether Ling Xiao could enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum or not. They weren't like the Divine Devil Order Master, who had to protect Ling Xiao. Humph, you still dare to deny it. No matter what you say, I will kill you today. Shifeng roared. Kill me? Do you have the ability? There's something I said to your son. Now I'll say it to you too. The grudge between us started because of your daughter. If she wasn't unreasonable and wanted to kill me, I wouldn't have captured her. If your Blood Axe Snake clan didn't force me, I wouldn't have killed her. To put it bluntly, you brought this upon yourselves. Now you want to act pitiful with me? To put it bluntly, your Blood Axe Snake clan killed so many Western region martial artists for the Divine Devil Order Master. Your entire clan should have been wiped out long ago. I didn't kill Shi Shaozong because I was too lazy to do it. Since he committed suicide, it can be considered as repaying his sins. You still have the face to find trouble with me? Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of Shifeng at all. Shifeng's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the reincarnation divine realm. Moreover, he didn't have the inheritance of the ancient emperor or an acquired martial soul. To Ling Xiao, he wasn't a strong opponent. His cultivation had reached the 2nd level of the reincarnation divine realm, and with the beast soul transformation and the ice emperor demon spirit, killing Shifeng wouldn't be a problem at all. This was why he dared to say that he didn't care about the Western region martial artists at all. Shameless boasting, Shifeng said coldly. Brother Ling Xiao, Dark Frost said worriedly. It doesn't matter. I'll accept this battle. If I don't kill this old thing, I'm afraid I won't have peace even if I enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum today. Ling Xiao waved his hand. Since Shifeng was courting death, why should he tolerate it? It wasn't his fault anyway. Heavenly King, Dragon Mother, you guys see. A martial artist at the 4th level of the reincarnation divine realm is nothing in front of me. Ling Xiao wanted to make an example out of Shifeng today. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum. In an instant, he transformed into a frost WYRM beast soul. This transformation was more suitable for using the Ice Emperor's inheritance. Moreover, he didn't need to use the everlasting heavenly rat beast soul transformation to deal with Shifeng. Come on, old thing. You want to die with your daughter and son so much. I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao said coldly, when you die, don't blame me for being cruel. Take this battle as revenge for the Western region martial artists who died in your hands. Kill. Shifeng charged at Ling Xiao, unable to restrain his anger. At this moment, he only had thoughts of revenge in his mind. He didn't observe the situation carefully at all. He also didn't investigate Ling Xiao's current strength. This also doomed him to a tragedy in this battle. Ling Xiao was about to make a move. Suddenly, a terrifying demonic wind blew. Chapter 30:499. Ling Xiao was about to kill Shifeng. Suddenly, a gust of demonic wind blew. A huge claw reached out from the void. The claw pressed down on Shifeng. Then it crushed Shifeng to death. What? This scene caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. Ling Xiao knew that it was done by the savage beasts, but others didn't know, especially Mother Dragon and Heavenly King. Their hearts trembled. Who was it that was so terrifying to kill Shifeng, who was at the 4th level reincarnation divine state in one move? Could it be that Ling Xiao had called for reinforcements? How did this guy have such a terrifying helper? They were glad that they didn't make a move here. Otherwise, they might be the ones who died. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, wasn't in a good mood. Get out here! He roared furiously into the void. Kid, don't be ungrateful. I helped you kill him. You should be happy. The voice in the void was extremely ethereal. It was impossible to determine where it was. Happy my ass. Do I need a beast like you to kill my opponent? Are all the beasts in the savage beast region as shameful as you? Ling Xiao said coldly. Since he already knew the other party's intention and goal, there was no need for him to be polite. The other party definitely wouldn't kill him. He needed to make all the beasts in the savage beast region show themselves. Then he could use the Tai Chi eye to do a comprehensive analysis. He would know how strong the other party was. You're courting death. The huge claw reached out from the void again. This time it pressed down on Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was already prepared. With a flash, he easily dodged. Oh, I didn't expect your reaction to be so sharp. It seems that you've already noticed me waiting, right? The voice was a little surprised. Then its true body appeared. It was a white tiger whose entire body was like white jade. Cosmic light tiger. Ling Xiao had seen this beast before. One of his beast souls was a cosmic light tiger. However, the cosmic light tiger clearly didn't know how to cultivate. However, the beasts of the savage beast region knew how to cultivate, so this guy's strength was terrifying. Its aura is as strong as the fiend god Token Master. Is there such a terrifying monster in the immemorial divine tomb? The others were also shocked. What's wrong, little fellow? You want me to show my true form? What do you want? Ian Light asked coldly. What you need shouldn't be the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance, right? What do you need? I can bring it out for you. But you can't attack us. The same goes for your other companions. Ling Xiao said, We need. Hee, you're tricking me. Halfway through his words, Cosmic Light suddenly smiled and said, What a cunning kid. You know what we need. Are you going to destroy it? Unfortunately, I won't give you that chance. Now, all of you can enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. I'll keep watch here. If anyone dares to come out without anything, I'll be the first to kill them. You don't have to wait for the God Devil Order Master. He is injured. Today's matter, I will take responsibility. Almost. Ling Xiao sighed. He'd indeed planned to enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum after learning what they wanted and destroy it. That way, these bastards from the Savage Beast region wouldn't be able to achieve their goal. What a pity. Ian Light sneered, then opened his mouth and blew. The portal to the world of the dead opened. Follow me. Ian Light was the first to rush in. The others followed, closely behind. No one dared to flee. Even though they knew they were being watched for this trip to the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum, no one dared to flee. Because the enemy was too strong, so strong that they couldn't resist. Ian Light led them to the place where Ling Xiao had discovered the strange door. As expected, that's the entrance to the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. It seems the map of the Western Divine Mausoleum has something to do with it. Ling Xiao was even more certain now. Otherwise, the door wouldn't have appeared because of the map of the Western Divine Mausoleum. After waiting for a while, the next day arrived. The door finally appeared. It was an enormous portal. In front of it was a display of weapons, exuding a somber aura. Keys, Ian Light said coldly. Although everyone hesitated for a moment, they still handed the 6 keys to Ian Light. There was nothing they could do. The situation was beyond their control. The other party was so powerful. If they didn't give it to him, would they be courting death? Naturally, Ian Light wouldn't act recklessly. His goal was similar to the God-Fiend Order Masters. It was just that he wanted something different. The 6 keys were put into the 6 keyholes. A strange sound was heard. A blood-red ball of light appeared in the huge portal. Go in. After passing through that portal, you'll arrive at the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. It's the same as all small worlds. It's an independent space, and the outside world can't interfere. So you're on your own. Ian Light said coldly. Let's go. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate and stepped into the portal. The other 9 people with him also entered. Originally, Ling Xiao was worried that they would be separated after entering the ancient sword imperial mausoleum. But after entering, he found that the 10 of them were all together. Then the Avenging Alliance, the Heavenly Imperial Court, the Myriad Kingdom, and the God-Fiend City, a total of 8 people entered one after another. What a gloomy feeling. It's as if the whole world is black and gray. There's nothing else. Soul Warrior couldn't help but say, even breathing feels a little stifling. The air is damp and rotten. Soul Warrior also said, desolation, death, no hope. This was the feeling the ancient sword imperial mausoleum gave people. This place was so gloomy that everyone tried their best to circulate their true essence to resist the gloomy aura. No one wanted to be affected. From time to time, there were low cries around. It was like a woman crying at night. This sound was hair-raising. Crack! Someone accidentally stepped on something. Everyone looked down. There were countless bones under their feet. There were humans and beasts. These bones had been there for countless years. They were densely packed on the ground, and there was almost no place to step on. As long as one wanted to walk on the ground, they would definitely step on the bones. He, a rebirth realm warrior, is actually afraid of those undead. What a joke. We'll go first. Ling Xiao, remember, don't be alone. Otherwise, I'll definitely kill you. The Heavenly Imperial Court sneered and rose into the air with Prince Xiong rushing forward. In the dark and damp forest, there was a strange, huge black shadow. They couldn't see what it was from afar, but everyone felt that as long as there was the ancient Sword Emperor's treasure, it must be in that position. So the Heavenly Imperial Court and Prince Xiong flew in that direction. Then Dragon Mother and Nkong also set off. The Avenging Alliance leader and the Linglong Saintess followed closely. Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry. Palace Master, it'll be too late if we don't go now. Morongde couldn't help but say, listen to Brother Ling Xiao. Darkfrost said lightly. Chapter 3500. A pitch-black forest. A grayish-white sky. Ghastly white bones. The entire scene was undoubtedly filled with despair and death. Under Ling Xiao's lead, the people of the Soul Hall and the 8 Immortals' Kingdom were running towards the huge black shadow in the center. As they got closer, everyone finally saw the full appearance of the black shadow. It was actually the corpse of a demonic beast. That's right, it was a corpse. Not a corpse, because its physical body was not destroyed and continued to be preserved. The huge body stood there like a terrifying fortress. What kind of demonic beast is this? It's so huge, for 5 times bigger than the volcanic mountain tortoise. Can it actually die in battle? Ling Xiao was extremely shocked. Although the martial artists of the other 3 factions had already arrived near the corpse of the huge demonic beast in advance, and they discovered that there was a door on the corpse that led to it, but no one dared to rashly enter. The huge demonic beast corpse emitted a strange and terrifying aura. No matter who it was, they would feel fear in their hearts. Whoosh! Suddenly, the huge corpse spat out a 7-colored light. Everyone jumped in fright and hurriedly retreated. However, just as they retreated a few steps, someone stopped and revealed a look of ecstasy on his face. Reincarnation, immortal bone. Someone shouted and hurriedly rushed forward to fight for the reincarnation, immortal bone. A chaotic scramble for the treasures began. However, what was interesting was that there seemed to be only 18 reincarnation immortal bones, and each one fell beside a martial artist's body. Even if others wanted to snatch it, they had to defeat their opponents. But the primordial Sword Emperor's treasure had not appeared yet, and everyone was obviously hesitant to fight here. In the end, they simply gave up. After all, although the reincarnation immortal bone was good, it was far inferior to the primordial Sword Emperor's treasure. Ling Xiao held a reincarnation immortal bone and observed it. The bone was like jade and actually felt cold in his hand. But to be honest, he really did not know what it was for. But since everyone was fighting for it, it must be useful. Wind Soul explained, the reincarnation immortal bone is extremely important to martial artists who have entered the reincarnation cycle. With the reincarnation immortal bone, it can be said that one is 100% sure to advance from the reincarnation divine realm to the reincarnation divine meridian realm. The formation of the divine veins was based on the reincarnation immortal bone. Everyone who has obtained this item must take good care of it. Not only can it increase your cultivation speed, it can also increase your cultivation speed. It can even allow your cultivation to break through the barrier. Hearing Wind Soul's words, Ling Xiao thought to himself that this was really good stuff. Generally speaking, the thing that martial artists feared the most when breaking through a major realm was the cultivation barrier. Many people were unable to cross this hurdle in their entire lives. However, things would be different if he had something like the reincarnation immortal bone. As expected, Senior Ancient Sword Emperor has already thought of a gift for his descendants. Although not everyone will be able to obtain the Ancient Sword Emperor's treasure, they will definitely be able to obtain some benefits. Ling Xiao sighed. Perhaps to the Ancient Sword Monarch, even if he died, it would be worth it if he could allow the later generations to produce cultivators that could resist the 4 major regions. Everyone put away the reincarnation immortal bone, and then they walked towards the huge beast's corpse with anticipation. They believed that the Ancient Sword Emperor wouldn't harm them. Ling Xiao thought so too. After all, the Ancient Sword Emperor's goal was to give his inheritance to the people who entered the Ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum. The fear from before seemed to have disappeared by quite a bit. However, everyone still remained vigilant. Although they knew that the Ancient Sword Emperor wouldn't harm them, there must be many traps set up here to prevent outsiders from sneaking in. When they got closer, they realized that the beast's corpse had actually been transformed into a huge building. Needless to say, there was no one else who could do this other than the Ancient Sword Emperor. Be careful. Ling Xiao could feel a terrifying aura being released in the surroundings, as if there was some power that wanted to prevent them from entering the beast's corpse. When they were about 100 meters away from the beast, the corpses on the ground actually stood up one by one. There were humans, demonic beasts, and even members of the sea race. These corpses contained intense resentment and hatred, as if they didn't want the martial artists to get close to the beast. These guys must have been martial artists and beasts from the 4 major regions when they were alive. They died here in the battle with the Ancient Sword Emperor, but their souls still linger. Dragon Mother said coldly, "Then what should we do?" And Kong asked, "The Ancient Sword Emperor's treasure isn't something that anyone can get. If you can't even deal with this kind of trouble, then get lost as soon as possible." Dragon Mother sneered and charged towards the group of corpses, and Kong naturally followed. Then the Heavenly King, King Zhong, the leader of the Avenging Alliance, and the Linglong Saintess all started fighting. Let's fight. These guys still want to turn into bone spirits to stop us, even after they're dead. And there are so many of them, so it's impossible not to fight. But don't fight. If there's a chance to rush into the Beast Gate, go in. Ling Xiao summoned the Fire Supreme sword and ordered, "Yes." With his order, everyone rushed towards the beast. These bone spirits were very powerful. Although they weren't as terrifying as they were when they were alive, the weakest was still at the 1st level of the reincarnation divine realm. The strongest was actually at the 3rd level of the reincarnation divine realm. As for why there were no more powerful bone spirits, Ling Xiao guessed that this might be the result of the Ancient Sword Emperor's hard work. He knew that it was very difficult to produce a reincarnation divine realm warrior in the Western region. So he set a rule in his imperial mausoleum that the strongest could not exceed the 3rd level of the reincarnation divine realm. Of course, this was just Ling Xiao's guess. Whether it was true or not had yet to be verified. But for now it was indeed the case. The battle was about to start. Ling Xiao didn't care about the others' battle. At this moment, he and Darkfrost were the 2 strongest people in his team of 10. Naturally, they had to take on the task of eliminating the powerful bone spirits. The warrior souls, battle souls, and wind souls were weaker, so they were protected in the middle and assisted in the battle. Ling Xiao rushed to the front alone. Dark Frost and Cold Plum were on the left. Long Chen and Xiao Jin were on the right. Dragon, Shark King, and Morongda were at the back. This way, they could ensure that they could block the bone spirits from attacking the formation. It could also prevent them from being sneak attacked by the other three forces. After all, the treasures of the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum might appear somewhere in the beast's corpse. One less person would mean one less competitor. There was no doubt about that. The bone spirits at the third level of the reincarnation divine realm were not a problem for Ling Xiao at all. He was like a sharp divine sword, easily opening up a broad path for the team. Because there were more people and they weren't weak, their progress was the fastest. Ling Xiao also had the time to carefully observe the situation in the other four directions. It seemed that a month had passed and everyone's strength had increased. Chapter 3501. Dragon Mother should have broken through to the fourth level of the reincarnation divine realm. It was the same for Heavenly King and King Zhong. One of them was stimulated by his son's death and cultivated crazily. The other had been defeated by Ling Xiao and had finally gained enlightenment and achieved a breakthrough. On the Revenge Alliance's side, Linglong Saintus had reached the third level of the reincarnation realm. The leader of the Revenge Alliance was the strangest. His cultivation had reached the fifth level of the reincarnation divine realm. Ling Xiao could not understand. Logically speaking, his aptitude should not be as good as Dragon Mother's. How could his cultivation be stronger than Dragon Mother's after a month? He also surpassed Dark Frost, but he could not understand and could not investigate now. He could only keep the question in his heart, looking at the two Western region experts sent by the God-Fiend Order Master. Their performance was average. If they were powerful, they were at the end. If they were not powerful, those bone spirits could not hurt them. It was really strange. Anyway, Ling Xiao always felt that these two guys were strange. They were clearly human, but their bodies released the terrifying aura of a beast. He was observing these people when he suddenly heard Dragon Mother shout, "I'll go first!" That guy actually twisted his fat and huge body and entered the giant beast's body. As expected of Dragon Mother, she was really brave. She probably also considered the danger in the giant beast's body, but if she was too scared, no one would go in. She wanted to seize this opportunity. Ong Kong was shocked, but he did not want to be left alone. He also rushed in. If he stayed, no matter which power it was, they wouldn't mind sending him to the afterlife. Let's go too. Others are not afraid, so we don't have to be. Ling Xiao did not know what was going on inside because his Tai Chi eye could not see through the giant beast's thick body. There seemed to be a powerful energy on the body, blocking his Tai Chi eye. Everyone entered the giant beast's body, one after another. The first place they came to was a place similar to a hall. The huge hall was empty. In front of them was a door made of an unknown material. Dragon Mother had tried to attack the door with all her strength, but the door did not move. Among all of them, Dragon Mother's strength was considered the strongest, yet she was unable to break through the door. The others did not have to try anymore. Even if he tried, it would be a waste of effort. Ling Xiao tried to check if there was any array formation or Dharma array on the door to see if he could break it, but none of them succeeded. There was no formation, so it should be a special mechanism. However, Yuan Venerates weren't as familiar with mechanism techniques as they were with array formations. Ling Xiao was the same. When everyone arrived at the hall, suddenly, rays of light flashed in the hall. It actually formed a line of text in the air. If we want to go to the next place, half of us have to stay here. The text was very clear. However, this was interesting. He could choose to stay behind on his own accord or be killed. Just as everyone was thinking this, the light flashed again. Another paragraph of text appeared. Now, The people who want to stay can speak. If you don't want to stay, you can leave now. In that case, we can only enter a cruel battle. His meaning was very clear. In any case, only 9 people could enter the next place. Ling Xiao frowned. Originally, he wanted to have more people so that there would be more opportunities. However, it now seemed like the ancient sword emperor's requirements for martialists were quite high. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "Fighting soul, wind soul, battle soul, Morongda, the 4 of you can stay behind." This was a very difficult decision. However, Ling Xiao felt that he had to do this. These 4 people were relatively weak. Once they started fighting, they would most likely be killed. This was something he absolutely did not want to see. "I'm fine with it." "Me too. I'm already content to be able to enter this place and obtain the reincarnation immortal bone." The fighting soul, battle soul, and wind soul were all fine with it. They had obtained the reincarnation immortal bone and could cultivate in the body of a huge beast with abundant spirit energy. The speed of their cultivation would be 10 times faster than outside. These were all benefits. As for the ancient sword emperor's treasure, they really didn't dare ask for it. "I don't want to stay." However, Murongda rejected Ling Xiao's good intentions. "In that case, it's all up to you. However, I have to remind you that your strength might cause you to lose your life. I don't want you to be killed as soon as you join the Soul Hall." Ling Xiao reminded him again. "Thank you for your kindness, but I appreciate it." Murongda was a proud person. Although he might not betray the Soul Hall, his character was very arrogant. He didn't care about Ling Xiao's words at all. Ling Xiao sighed. He shook his head, helplessly. He could only hope that no one would die. After all, even if they were defeated, they might not necessarily die. At this point, 3 people had left, and there were still 15 people left. 6 people still had to be eliminated. Of these 15 people, no one was willing to leave. After all, the other 3 factions didn't have many people to begin with. Next, let's start the battle. The 3 people who took the initiative to leave will be protected. When the rest are killed or announce their withdrawal and there are only 9 people left, the door will open. After this paragraph of text was displayed, the light disappeared. The fighting soul, wind soul, and battle soul were enveloped by a ball of light. Ling Xiao tried and threw a palm strike, but there was no reaction. This protective shield was really strong. "Everyone, let's join forces. There are too many people from the Soul Hall and the 8 Immortals' Kingdom. It's better to eliminate them all." Dragon Mother suddenly suggested. "No problem." Heavenly King was the first to respond. "We have no problem either." The Vengeful Alliance's leader also said. The Linglong Saintess was a little helpless. She didn't want to do this, but after all, she was a member of the Vengeful Alliance, so she could only obey. In this way, the 6 people from the 3 factions joined forces. Dragon Mother looked at the 2 experts sent by the Divine Demon Ordermaster and said, "What about you? Are you with them or with us?" "Of course it's you." The 2 looked at each other and stood on the side of the 3 factions. At this point, the number of people on both sides had become 8 against 7. However, Ling Xiao didn't care. This kind of thing was within his expectations. The fighting soul, battle soul, and wind soul were also glad that they chose to leave. Otherwise, they would only be a burden if they stayed. "I'll deal with Dark Frost," Dragon Mother said coldly. "Ling Xiao is mine," Heavenly King shouted sternly. At the beginning, everyone began to look for opponents for themselves. The 2 experts sent by the Divine Demon Order Master chose Murongda and Dragon Shark King, respectively. Obviously, they felt that these 2 were the weakest on Ling Xiao's side. And they also thought that they were the weakest on Dragon Mother's side. The Linglong Saintess was up against Cold Plum. The Vengeful Alliance's leader was up against Xiao Jin. Lord Zhong was up against Long Chen. "Hee, I'll help Heavenly King to deal with Ling Xiao." And Kong sneered and walked toward Heavenly King. Chapter 3502. The Heavenly King didn't object to Nkong helping him. Ling Xiao wasn't very clear about his current strength. Therefore, he wasn't confident that he could defeat Ling Xiao. With Nkong helping him, he might have a better chance of winning. The battle was about to begin. However, at this moment, a strange energy swept through the entire hall. Then the soul of battle, and Soul of Wind realized that the rest of the people in the hall had disappeared. Where do you think they went? The Soul of Battle asked Soul of Wind. How would I know? But they should be fighting in some small world. After all, this place is small, and it's very likely that it will become a chaotic battle. It's impossible to form a one-on-one battle. Soul of Wind thought for a moment. One-on-one. Don't forget that Ling Xiao is facing the Heavenly King and Nkong. Soul of Battle said unhappily, "Who knows? Maybe the ancient Sword Emperor thinks that he should be able to defeat those two." Soul of Wind stroked his beard. Actually, it was just as Soul of Wind said. When Ling Xiao opened his eyes again, he found himself in a place similar to an arena. This was only a very small space. There were only him, the Heavenly King, and Nkong. He believed that there were probably one-on-one battles going on in other spaces. I hope they can survive. Since they were fighting in a sealed space, Ling Xiao felt that there was no need for him to hide anything. Everything that needed to be used could be put to use. "Kid, today is the day I avenge my son." The Heavenly King looked coldly at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with anger. He had been waiting for Ling Xiao to be alone. Now that it was finally time, how could he not be happy? "I've heard this many times. If you want to come, then come. Cut the crap. I've never regretted killing Prince Tian. I won't be soft-hearted when killing you." Ling Xiao said this, but he was calculating in his heart. Facing the Heavenly King and Nkong, it would be a little difficult for him. He had to get rid of one of them first, and Nkong was obviously the best candidate. Thinking of this, he had already made a decision. At the same time, in another space, Mother Dragon looked at Dark Frost but didn't attack. "God is helping me. You can only stay here and wait for your beloved to die. You think too highly of Heavenly King and Nkong. You also underestimate my big brother Ling Xiao." Dark Frost looked at Dragon Mother calmly without a trace of worry in her eyes. "Really? Hee, why don't we sit down and wait? If the two of us fight, I'm afraid we'll never be able to end this battle." Mother Dragon didn't intend to fight with Dark Frost. She knew how powerful Dark Frost was. Dark Frost had no intention of making a move. The two of them sat there cross-legged, waiting for the results. "Morongda is dead. There are 14 people left." Suddenly, a voice came from the void. Everyone heard it. They were separated, and in less than a minute, Morongda was killed. This speed was simply too fast. That Morongda is truly trash. Your soul palace likes trash like this, right? Mother Dragon sneered. Dark Frost didn't say anything. Her eyes were still closed. However, Ling Xiao, who was in another space, felt that something was wrong. Although Morongda wasn't strong, he was still a level 2 reincarnation divine realm martial artist. According to his estimation, even if he was defeated, it wouldn't be so fast. There must be something wrong. At this moment, in the space where Morongda was, You. Morongda looked at the person in front of him in horror. His eyes flickered with terrifying fear. "You're not human." After saying these words, he fell to the ground and died. At the moment of his death, he remembered Ling Xiao's words. He regretted not listening to Ling Xiao. This trip to the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum was much more complicated than he had imagined. Dragon Shark King has admitted defeat. There are 13 people left. All of a sudden, another voice rang out. It was less than a minute after Morongda was killed. "Dragon Shark lost too?" Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. He remembered clearly that Murongda and Dragon Shark King's opponents were the two experts sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order. Was his previous judgment right? There was something wrong with those two guys. Damn it, I didn't expect that guy to escape. At the same time, in the space where Dragon Shark King was fighting, the expert sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order didn't look too good. He wanted to kill Dragon Shark King quickly, but he didn't expect that guy to admit defeat and be swept away by a white light. It would be better if I could move faster. Now he has discovered my secret. That expert's eyes flickered, but he had no other choice. The winner wouldn't be teleported out immediately. He could only wait. Dragon Shark, what happened? Seeing Dragon Shark King appear in the hall, Feng Hun and the rest asked in surprise. Dragon Shark King was seriously injured. His face was pale and his body was covered in blood. The strength of the enemy was far beyond his expectations. If not for Morongda's death, he would have admitted defeat. Then he would directly admit defeat. Otherwise, he could forget about living. Damn it! The two guys sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order are from the Parasite clan. On the surface, they look like warriors from the Western region. But in reality, they are experts at the 5th level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. This is probably not their true strength. They are limited by the strength of their physical bodies, so they can only display this strength. Dragon Shark said with a gloomy face as he threw the healing pill that Ling Xiao had given him into his mouth. Then what do we do now? We can't contact the Palace Master and Brother Ling. Feng Hun was anxious. It's okay. I believe Brother Ling has already guessed it. Dragon Shark gasped. At this moment, he could only resign himself to fate. What a pity that traitor Dragon Shark is not dead. And Kong looked at Ling Xiao sarcastically and said, But it doesn't matter, this is your trash companion. Ling Xiao's heart gradually calmed down. He could roughly guess what had happened, but now was not the time to think about it. It was better to focus on the battle in front of him. And Kong, when you lost to me in the world of the dead, you should have understood that you are definitely not my match. Today, I will let you completely give up. As he spoke, Ling Xiao opened his right eye's 4-leaf demonic pupils. And in Kang's eyes, Ling Xiao was rushing towards him, scaring him so much that he had no choice but to block with all his might. In reality, Ling Xiao was charging towards the Heavenly King. What the hell is Kong doing? The Heavenly King was stunned when he saw Kong attacking the air with all his might. Ling Xiao's Soul Snatcher was very useful against warriors who were weaker than him. It could cause the other party to hallucinate, and Kong was like that. Don't worry about others. Take care of yourself first. Ling Xiao sneered, and 2 long swords condensed in the air. Ice Supreme Frost Sword Art. Fire Supreme Blazing Sky Sword Art. Kill. A dual-colored sword light intertwined with ice and fire suddenly charged towards the Heavenly King. Chapter 3503. In the face of Ling Xiao's dual sword attack, the Heavenly King's face turned cold. Although he said that he was not afraid of Ling Xiao, his heart was filled with fear. He definitely did not dare to underestimate his opponent. Thus, he condensed his attack and charged towards Ling Xiao. He also used a high-level king-level martial skill. This was also the most powerful martial skill he could use. Vertical Golden Light Technique. Suddenly, just as Ling Xiao was about to collide with the Heavenly King, he actually used the Vertical Golden Light Technique. He disappeared in front of the Heavenly King. At that moment, the Heavenly King sensed that something was wrong. Kong, be careful! He roared angrily, but it was too late. The dual-colored sword light condensed by the Ice Supreme Sword and the Fire Supreme Sword directly pierced through Kang's body. Kong did not even have time to shout out and admit defeat before he died. Until his death, he still did not know how he died. Kong is dead, 12 people remaining. The voice in the void rang out again. There are still 3 to be eliminated. Who do you think it will be? Ling Xiao looked at the Heavenly King and sneered coldly. You're the next one. The Heavenly King also looked at Ling Xiao with a gloomy expression. He did not expect that with him watching from the side, and Kong would be killed so easily. This was a blunder. In another space, Dragon Mother could no longer sit still. What are you panicking for? Didn't you say that my big brother Ling Xiao would die? What about now? Yoran Kong is dead. There's only the Heavenly King left. Do you think he'll be a match for my big brother Ling Xiao? Dark Frost sneered. Dragon Mother was furious, but there was nothing she could do. In this space, if one was not a loser, they should not be able to leave for the time being. Humph. Whoever laughs last laughs the best. Don't underestimate the Heavenly King. Otherwise, your big brother Ling Xiao will definitely die a miserable death. Dragon Mother gritted her teeth and sat down again. At this time, the battles in all the spaces had entered a white-hot stage. Someone could be eliminated at any time. Everyone was extra careful. No one wanted to leave so early. Damn it, Thousand Shadow Sword. Seeing that Kong had been killed by Ling Xiao, the Heavenly King was furious. With a flick of the sword in his hand, over 1,000 sword shadows shot towards Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao killed Kong, he would make Ling Xiao pay a huge price. In the face of the Heavenly King's attack, Ling Xiao smiled coldly. The current him was no longer the same as before. Second level of the reincarnation divine realm, coupled with the transformation of the peerless heavenly rat, he could unleash the combat strength of a martial artist at the 4th level of the reincarnation divine realm. Although both of them had demon spirits protecting their bodies, they could cancel each other out. However, Ling Xiao was going to fight with the Heavenly King today, so there was no need for the demon spirit. His body gradually transformed into the ultimate heavenly rat beast soul. His ferocious appearance added a bit of killing intent to the originally silent space. He held the Ice Supreme sword in one hand and the Fire Supreme sword in the other. His hands flew up and down. Countless sword shadows were easily torn apart. It was like cutting tofu. In the blink of an eye, the thousands of sword shadows had completely disappeared. And on Ling Xiao's body, there was not the slightest trace of injury. You gave up on the attack of a high-level king level martial skill and used this peak general level martial skill to kill me. It's nothing more than thinking that it saves time. It's a pity that although this move does save time, its power is too weak. If you don't have any other abilities, forget about revenge today. Even you would have to die here. I'm definitely not an alarmist. Ling Xiao looked at the Heavenly King coldly. He was not in a hurry to end the battle immediately. Anyway, even if he won, he would not be able to leave this place immediately. It just so happened that the Heavenly King was also a very good sparring partner. He would use the Heavenly King to hone his cultivation and combat skills. Bullshit. 10,000 sword kill. This time, the Heavenly King used a low-level king level martial skill. The vast sword shadows were more than before, and the lethality was even more terrifying. It seems that this is all you have. Today, I'll let you see what the strongest attack in the Western region is. Ling Xiao had originally hoped that the Heavenly King would give him a little surprise, but it was a pity. The combat power that the Heavenly King displayed was actually not stronger than King Zhong's. He was not even qualified to be a sparring partner. He sighed, for swords rose into the air. Supreme Ice-Cold Sky, sword technique. Supreme Fire Blazing Sky, sword technique. Supreme Spirit Heaven, sword technique. Exquisite, Celestial, sword technique. 4 swords in one. The 4 sword lights merged into one and transformed into a terrifying sword light of 4 different colors. They charged towards the curved sword shadow. Ridiculous! I've seen your 4 swords in one before. It's at most a high-level king level martial skill. Do you think you can kill me? 100,000 sword shadows. Seeing that Ling Xiao had used a high-level king, level martial skill, the Heavenly King knew that the 10,000 sword kill could not block it. So, he finally used his most powerful martial skill. For a moment, the entire space seemed to have turned into sword shadows. Then, the countless sword shadows merged into one and turned into a huge sword light. It charged towards Ling Xiao. Idiot! That's why I said that you're a frog at the bottom of the well. You don't understand at all. The current me is not the same as before. And my sword art is no longer the sword art of the past. Rumble. The 4 sword lights finally collided with the huge sword shadow. However, in just a moment, the huge sword shadow fell apart. Seeing this, the Heavenly King was shocked. Impossible. They're both high-level king, level martial skills. How can your attack be so terrifying? The Heavenly King exclaimed. At this moment, his face turned pale. Previously, he was quite confident that even if he could not kill Ling Xiao, he would not have any problems. But now, Ling Xiao's terrifying 4-colored sword light made him want to admit defeat and surrender. However, after a moment of hesitation, the 4-colored sword light was already in front of him. The terrifying sword light pierced through the Heavenly King's body. Then the sword light exploded. The Heavenly King let out an earth-shattering scream. No. He was shocked and regretful. He could not believe that he would be defeated by Ling Xiao so easily. However, his life was fading away quickly. It was so real and so cruel. When you go to hell, remember, don't let your precious son do whatever he wants. Who knows when it will bring about a fatal disaster for all of you? Watching the Heavenly King's body gradually shatter in the sword light, Ling Xiao said coldly. Since then, the Heavenly King of the Heavenly King dynasty had fallen. He died with his ambition. The Heavenly King dynasty of the Western region could never rise again. When Ling Xiao returned to the Western region in the future, it should be easier for him to take charge of the Western region. However, Ling Xiao did not have the slightest smile on his face, because he knew that the biggest opponent this time was not the Heavenly King, Dragon Mother, or the leader of the Avenging Alliance. It was those 2 strange experts. They did not even know their names, but they could easily kill Morongda and defeat the Dragon Shark King. Everyone seemed to have underestimated them. Ling Xiao did not waste time and sat down. The space here was extremely special and had very rich energy. It was very helpful for cultivation, so he naturally would not waste time. As for the opponent, he could only deal with it as it came. It was useless to be afraid now. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.